if you have the right time. Unless you're a day early, because I actually have a life. Or rather, I actually have something going on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. So I won't actually have a time to stream. But because I don't have anything going on tomorrow, well, because I don't have work tomorrow, I can stay up a little later, which means I got a little bit of evening to hang out with all of our lovely fans, friends, and Patreonies. So I thought this would be a good time to just kind of say hi to everyone. So hello, everyone. Hello, chat. Why don't we kick things off in the most appropriate way we can? Alrighty, when now, you beautiful bastards, why don't we jump right into it? Anyway, happy 30th of December to everyone out there around the world. Why don't we crack open a cold one with all the horses? Oh yeah. I had been dying to do a BananaCast all week, but I was in such a productive mood over since pretty much since the solstice little podcast thingy that I just had to keep focus. I had to just focus on getting confession stuff written, and I was very successful. Okay, I got I want to say. It's good. I want to say it's close to 80 minutes of finished voice product. It was a lot of writing. It's 30 something pages. So that was the best thing, of course, is that confessions got writing added to it, because that is the big pillar. That's what everyone's waiting for. Who's gonna be dead and who isn't gonna be dead? And I keep teasing like how the Christmas compilation album was kind of a big tease. It's if only I could squeeze in the song, if ever I'm the last one alive, or to send before my time. But there's just no simple way of ponifying a mid-2000s Christian rock song. So, aside from the one time we actually did that. So, anyway, hopefully, oh god, am I peeking out the mic? Hello? Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing. Okay, I think we're all right. Anyway, so, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you've had an enjoyable holiday festive break yourselves. Like I said, it's been productive for me, and now I'm just kind of enjoying the evening. It was an interesting end of the year. I like a lot of things that have been wrapping up for everyone. For instance, there was a contest about what was the meme of the decade, and Doge won, which. Wow, so amazing. It seems very appropriate as Funny Yellow Dog has only grown in popularity as the years have passed, and really other very major vaguely amphibious memes are on the downslope in the general sense. So it's probably for the best. Doge is a lot cuddlier. Let me throw that up there. There you go. Funny Yellow Horse in this case. Hello Pyrotechnics and Kukin and Banana Cream Pie and Whited 666. I'm glad people could join us here, because yeah. And then in the middle of everything, I was so half of the reason why I've been updating the Wikia so fervorously on and off for the last couple of months as well is because I'm trying to finalize that so that everything is ready, and it's a chance for me to review all the fucking 24 hours of audio. So I make sure that, I'm paying off everything that should be paid off, and everything is fun, and I don't screw up with the canon or anything in some weird place. So hopefully people have been enjoying those as well. I have put a lot of thought and effort into the FOE Wikia pages about Confessions and Terminal Secrets. So Terminal Secrets I was able to get done as well a couple of weeks ago, which I think turned out great. And they seem to have Vermont's blessing. He hasn't made any corrections or comments, so that should be a good primer for you if you're trying to tease anyone, if you're tickling under their chin to bring them into EAST Corp's lovely underground cozy shelters. The Wikias should be a nice place to wet their whistle a little bit, to get them curious. So yeah, I was pretty happy with how those turned out. It was great too because I had to re-listen through everything, like including my own, which I was a little bit sad about because it's been a while since I've actually listened to them. So I was like, okay, I gotta make sure everything's straight for the articles, so I'm not contradicting myself. It's like, what is canon? I don't know. But of course, then I actually had to listen to the other episodes as well, the ones I didn't write, and it was great. I'd forgotten. Of course, I knew they were good, but there was a lot of details about like 537, for instance, that had just slipped my mind. Because when episode 2, titled 537, came out, that was right as I was releasing The Engineer, and that was right at like our very, the cliff where we were about to just jump off of Stapletech Studios before it took us over the waterfall. And so yeah, my mind was so clouded at that point that I really didn't pay too much attention to it when it came out. So I have to give Vermont props. I know he looks back on it with a little bit of whatever kind of perspective, but it was fun. It was an interesting episode. I really like at the end too how abruptly the door opens. She's like, "Oh, well, damn. I guess the door's open now. Whatever." that was a nice ending after the mass democide of Stable 81. So it's a fun one. And then, of course, that gave James the opportunity to write a fucking 30-minute monologue for Arya Moon in episode 4. Tinned Mint is a real gem. Like, the other thing about Tinned Mint I'd forgotten about was there are all the fantastic Daniel Moman diaries of Obab Scribbler just reading adorable like Steel Ranger stuff, and then of course we have Oakhart pop in there with explicit peach flavored lesbianism, which is fantastic. But then of course a good chunk of that episode, arguably a third of the episode, is Overstory plotline, and it's Spare Parts talking to Stella and the first hintings of Fractal and stuff. So it was really, really nice revisiting that again. And it was just a really, really good time. And then, of course, our fantastic finales with Moman's artwork. It does make me a little bit sad. I kind of wish we could go back and do the same thing to the other episodes. It wouldn't quite work because of the nature of the other episodes. Like, obviously, Vermont kind of wrote the finales with that style in mind to some extent, and it works really well. But all I'm saying is I just want a nice like wallpaper art of my precious babies of Pinkin and family and like Lugnut all mad in the background, and then for Dr. Needle, who was not played by Needle Stitch, for Dr. Needle we could have our very explicit Catherine Halsey ponification, which would be really fun. Anyway, another thing, of course, that went on over Chris' holiday break was the Star Wars, where we had Chaotic Evil Star Wars, which was the actual movie, the finale of the Skywalker saga. It's like, come on, man. Like, you don't even believe that. This is never set up to be, like, part 3 of the epic Skywalker saga. This was the new saga. This was the Rey... Okay, spoiler alert. This this podcast will include spoilers for Star Wars, the Revenge of the Rey. Star Wars: The Revenge of J.J. Abrams, and also the Mandalorian. So just warning there. I realize this doesn't get high viewership anyway, because just me bitching into the void of the internet, but just letting you know, I'm just going to speak frankly about it, because it's interesting, and I'll have a lot more to say if I could just speak frankly. So, fair warning. Anyway, Baby Yoda is great, as everyone's already talked about, the hot new meme at the very end of the decade. It was great. And the Mandalorian himself, Pablo Pascal, was also great, because I totally forgot who he was. Like, I knew the name. I'm like, I know. Who is this actor, Pablo Pascal? But the voice I couldn't place. And there's a very good reason, is because the one thing I really know Pablo Pascal from, he has a very different voice. I don't know if it's his natural Chilean accent, or if it's just something cobbled together to be very, what is the culture called? I almost said Dorian. It's not Dorian. That's like Bronze Age, whatever. It's the fucking Dornish? Fuck. Yeah, Dorn. Yeah, Dornish. Okay, anyway, from Game of Thrones. He was and I can't remember the fucking character's name now. He was the guy, the stabby guy that gets his eyes got by the mountain. In what season was that? Was that season 5? I think it was season 5. Something Martell. Oberyn Martell. That's it. That was what I remembered him from. That's like the only. This is really big recent thing, so that's what a lot of people remember him from. Anyway, his accent in that, whether it's his natural one or just something Dornish they cobbled for the show, is completely gone for the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is this very like. Not American, but it's very similar to what what's his name did for Jango Fett, which I thought was really neat. And so it kind of has that hint of the Mandalorian as like vaguely like the classical ethnic group Mandalorians, but at the same time, because of the plotline of the show, he isn't part of that original group that came from Mandalore. He's a foundling, which is basically a war orphan. So anyway, it was really cool. Hello, Roy Mustang. I see you in the chat. It's what, this goes back to the very first episode of the Break Room podcast, when James and I were celebrating our exodus from Stapletech, where Star Wars is just ideal as a television show. And of course, the guiding hand, the force, the will of Dave Filoni is moving behind the scenes and guiding this show into its success, which is half the reason why. Like, it's kind of sad too, because I'm seeing Jon Favreau getting a lot of credit for the Mandalorian success, which I'm sure is earned to some degree. But it's like, there are a lot of other directors also involved in the episode, some great directors, including Bryce Dallas Howard for some reason. It's random, but it's a good episode. But Dave Filoni, he's the holocron. He's Mr. Lore, that like he took 30 years of sprawling, chaotic EU lore and synthesized them into such a good set of story arcs in the Clone Wars that it's like, how can you deny? And anyway, and so they were then able to take that and take, Disney's infinite money for live action special effects and practical effects and stuff and make a good show. It's fucking great. Now, the problem is, I'm not going to pay for Disney Plus for one fucking show. And as much fun as the other movies are, it's another problem where it's like, I can rent those on Amazon or whatever if I really want to see, Beauty and the Beast again or something like that. So a friend of mine was up for Christmas, my stepbrother, and he signed into my Xbox, and so I was able to shotgun all of the Mandalorian, and that was great. So I'm looking forward to season 2. Also, the music for the show, it's very unique because it takes a style away from John Williams. It's by what is his name? It's very German. It's Goring Ludwigsen, I want to say, something like that. Anyway, really good music. The soundtrack of my very limited, musician heavy quotes, self could compare it to is Halo 5. Actually, there are many parts of the sound of the score that reminded me a lot of Kazuma Jinochi's Halo 5 score, Guardians score. I don't know. It was really good. It had a lot of really heavy drum beats. I guess one thing that's probably similar is they both have a very like tribal kind of undertone. In the case of Halo, is because they go to saying Helios, and they're the general Halo tone has always had that like deep origins of humanity kind of feel to it. Whether it's the Gregorian chanting or the drums or New Mombasa and whatever, that's the Halo lore. Is that the forerunners and precursors and stuff were involved in the seeding of humanity on Earth, or whatever Greg Bear called Earth in the Forerunner trilogy. Anyway, so definitely, if you haven't heard Kazuma Jinochi's Halo scores, go seek those out, because those are great. Because it's not just Halo 5. He also comes in the Spartan Ops soundtrack from at the end of Halo 4, when they had that like one season whatever of like special storied releases, which was cool. And then look up the I'm gonna get his name wrong. I think it's I want to say it's like Goran Ludvigsson, something like that. The guy who did the music for Mandalorian is really good. Check those out on YouTube's or SoundCloud or whatever. Anyway, yeah, so thank the Almighty, thank George Lucas up above that the future of Star Wars is the Mandalorian, because it is really genuinely sad seeing the the revenge of J.J. Abrams, because it's like, I can respect it to some degree. It looked like he really tried to like have a cohesive arch to the overall trilogy. I believe the co-writer Chris Terrario, who's infamous for writing Batman v Superman, he even said something along the lines of like, this really should have been like a two-parter, like the Deathly Hallows was, or like the third Hungry Games movie, or stuff like that, because there's like 2 movies worth of story like points in here that really should have been the middle movie of the saga and then the last movie. Like, the number of things, like, it really just comes down to like, you pay $4 billion for the most profitable movie franchise in history up until the Marvel, movies that, had just come out a few years ago. But like, up until then, Star Wars, like, it printed fucking gold, and it, golden games and books and stuff too. It was so much money that could be had. And they didn't sit down and plan out like a 3-trilogy arc? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not one of those guys that's just like, Rian Johnson ruined everything. Like, he did make a lot of mistakes, including in his social media presence and stuff. But it's like, clearly with Kathleen Kennedy and Iger and J.J. Abrams, like, was there no one that sat down and been like, okay, here's the A, B, C story points? Like, I'm not even one of those guys. Like, I compare the development of Confessions to the X-Files sometimes, in the sense that when the X-Files began, Chris Carter, they had the general ideas of what they could do for like an overstory, but it was a Monster of the Week kind of show. And then it was only as the seasons went on where you really had all the deep plot line come about with Mulder and Scully and all that. And I kind of think of Confessions in the same way, where it was over the course of writing The Duchess Horror, the 3rd episode, when the overall plotline really got in place. But once I decided what that plotline was, once that skeleton, that roadmap was laid out, then I stuck to it. And I put fucking meat on them bones. And you could see it in just the length of all the episodes after that. They're all big, meaty 4 hours, because they're all moving on this one giant trunk line highway with a lot of very exciting rest stops on the sides. And I can't fathom for the life of me why they didn't sit down and bring in very, knowledgeable Star Wars writers like Filioni, like, was it Paulo Hidalgo, who's the other, like, big holocron lore master guy? Bring in fucking George Lucas and Timothy Zahn, who wrote all the whatever books. Sit them all down in a fucking conference room for, like, 3 weeks. Take a vacation to Vegas or something, or do it like 1 week and then give everyone a month to process, and then another week and then give everyone a month to process, and then the final week, and you have your trilogies, and you have like the general like branches. Or how about you bring in fucking what's his name, the Mr. Marvel Master Man, Kevin Feige. Bring in Kevin Feige and be like, okay, bruh. So before we bought Marvel for $9 billion, how did you plan out the Marvel movies? Because we kind of want to do that, because Marvel movies made like a fuck ton of money, and we want to do that with Star Wars. And then he could say, okay, so here was my plan, and then here was how, we got phase 1, and then phase 2 and 3 off the ground. Like, did none of that happen? It really seems like, J.J. Abrams did classic J.J. Abrams things of, like, setting up a bunch of mystery questions in the first movie that a lot of people were excited to see pay off. It's to some extent, it's like the Damon Lindelof problem of he's really good at setting up a bunch of interesting questions. He might be a little bit loose on, like, the hard lore, like... like watching Vulcan get evaporated in Star Trek: The Star Trek 2009 from another planet or moon where Vulcan has no moon. Anyway, there's all that stuff that J.J. Abrams is a little bit fast and loose on, but you could have had a lore guy like Dave Filoni be like, well, wait, why don't we make it this, or let's make it this planet, or something a little bit different, like, I don't know, it's the weirdest damn thing. I just don't get it. It's like, because then Rian Johnson came in and he's like, he clearly had a whole separate trilogy plotline in mind already. Whether or not he actually gets his own trilogy later is, up in the air right now. But it's like, clearly he had his own thing he wanted to do with it, but he was making that trilogy of his own with all these toys that J.J. Abrams left on the floor, basically. It was like J.J. Abrams got out of the sandbox and went and got a milk bottle or something, and then Rian Johnson jumped in, and he's playing with his toys, and he's smashing them together and chucking them out into the grass, and then at the end, everyone's like, oh no, you ruined the castle. and then everyone's like, okay, we've got to rebuild it, and we've got to make some kind of, like, cohesive connection between it all. And it came at the expense of their own characters. It's like, okay, so Rey was nothing, and then now she's a Palpatine. And then you had Finn, who, like, he had a lot of great potential. Like, his whole opening of the first movie was solid, with him, realizing that, oh no, what if we're the bad guys? And then, and Kylo catching that bolt in midair. Like, that was a fucking cool intro. And, yeah, he kind of like, he did like space janitor stuff in the first movie, and then they really, I don't know, it seems like they didn't know what to do with him. So it's sad because there's a lot of potential the characters could have had with each other, but they just were underdeveloped. Now, in the case of the prequels, that was then fleshed out with people like Filoni and his whole staff from Star Wars, The Clone Wars, where then they could fill in the gaps, they could add a lot more depth to all the characters and motivations and stuff, which I'm sure they're going to try to do with these. I know they kind of did that with the books, I guess, but I haven't read the new books. I didn't read the old books either. To be fair, my best friend from high school, my boy Nick, he was the EU Supermaster. He was the one that read all the books that were published since 83, all the way up until the new movies and afterwards. My connection to the Star Wars deep lore was in the games and the shows and other multimedia, essentially, but not the books proper. I am going back now and listening to the Thrawn, the original Timothy Zahn Dark Empire trilogy, because it is much better. And there is a Palpatine, and there is clones and stuff, but it's like, I don't know, Yuuzhan Vaughn? That would have kind of been a neat series to see unfold. It's like, okay, we just saved the galaxy for realsies this time, so now wouldn't it be great after the fall of the Empire, you have to actually build the galaxy back together while you have an extra galactic force bearing down on it. Now, it's like, that would be a good message of like, okay, we've had all these years of civil war, now we need to come together as, as Milky Wayans. What would the name be of people from the galaxy? Like, humans are everywhere, and then you have a bunch of other alien races, but it's like, What would the common name be of citizens of the Milky Way? Oh wait, it's not the fucking Milky Way. It's the galaxy far, far away. Does the galaxy have a name? I don't even fucking know. Of of Star Warsia, whatever the galaxy's name is. Versus these Yuzon Vong, which are just hopping from galaxy to galaxy and like eating things up and stuff. It's like that would have been a great message across 3 movies of everyone from these different walks of life coming together again in their own self-defense. Like that's kind of the plotline of Halo as well, where it's like you have a galactic government, the UNSC, and then you have all these insurrection movements that want to break away from the UNSC for one reason or another. And then the alien threat, the literally alien threat, forces everyone to kind of come together. That forces humanity to like come together, like re-resolve in the face of this great enemy that wants to destroy them all. So I don't know, like fucking something that would have been neat instead of the Death Star 3. This time it's a planet, and we're gonna recycle the name Star Killer, even though that name was already recycled in some very popular video games a few years back. Oh man. And it's funny too, because it's like all the criticisms that were lobbied against the prequels are like they apply to the sequels just as much, if not more so. It's just all these like there's people bitter about the way things played out and some of the subtle politics of it all and stuff, which is really sad, because it's like all anyone wants is just a well-written Star Wars story, and it's like then out of nowhere the Mandalorian just delivered that, and everyone's like, oh yeah, you remember this? You remember fun? You remember when we could just enjoy this shit? That was great. God, I can't believe like it was so crazy with the Revenge of the J.J. Abrams, where it's like, okay, we we're gonna bring back the Death Star, but we can't make it a ball. Let's take all the pizza slice ships and just put a fucking Death Star laser on all of them. 1,000 Death Star lasers, but they're on the belly of the other really iconic Empire thingies. It's like, come on, man. Who wrote this? Who wrote this shit? Ironically, though, there was a lot of stuff like they did try. Like, okay, we forgot to like really make, Finn being a recovered stormtrooper a thing. Like that was a big thing. Like we should play with that more. Okay, he's gonna run into another group of escaped stormtroopers, reformed, whatever the word is. And it's like, oh yeah, so a big contingent of the internet really wants Kylo and Rey to be together for some reason. So let's throw in some sauce for them. Which it was like, they did squirt some sauce in there, but then they immediately kill him because he did do a lot of bad things. It's kind of the classical Darth Vader problem of like, yeah, we can't quite let you live, though. We can reform you, but you do have to die. If somebody dies. And then Palpatine being back, and they throw away excuse like, oh, Palpatine was the one who built Andy Serkis. So that was kind of funny. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It really comes back to what Vermont said at the very first Break Room podcast, which is movies are the worst, format for Star Wars, and it's like it's totally true. Because then you have people like Rich Evans who is like, well, what do you do with Star Wars? It's like you could do fucking everything with Star Wars. It's a very developed universe. It's just the fact that the specific movies following Empire and to some degree Revenge of the Sith are not, it's too limited of a scope to really tell those stories. And it's like, obviously The Mandalorian shows that like a serialized like television format is so much better. Like a Game of Thrones but Star Wars, And The Mandalorian is relatively small scale. I mean, it's not super over the top, but it's well done. I have to say, though, of course, it's always great seeing more of the Emperor back. That was really fun. The sound effects on Exegol were really neat. I like some of the way they just set up like Sith World 2020. That was kind of cool, and like all of his lightning stuff too, where it's like just everything goes like dead quiet, like boom, and it's just shocking everything. Just kind of cool. I do like too that they paid off like, oh yeah, there are like people in this galaxy, and so it's like, so then you have this like spurious citizens militia rise up and start leveling all the pizza ships left and right. Well, that was really cool. I like that idea of just like, people with whatever small arms is very American. I felt very, very proud of a bunch of regular citizens just throwing off the shackles of an oppressive government with whatever home defense weapon ships they had. It's very cool. So yeah, that's Star Wars. No one is happy with it. It's kind of a classical problem of, they tried their best to be like, oh, we gotta not piss off the, Rian Johnson Last Jedi fans too much, and we also, want to try to bring back some of the other fans as well, and they did their best. I really do think they kind of did their best. But then another side thing, and one of the reasons I brought up Mandalorian music earlier, John Williams doesn't try anymore. Like, I've really not been happy with the music in any of these three main trilogy movies. Like, Solo had a much better score, where it had that one really standout section with the, what were they called? They were like the Raiders or whatever, where it was like the surprise, like, little girl at the end. Or not little girl, she's like a teenager. And that was a really great piece of score. Very iconic, like choir kind of thing. Very haunting sounding. Rogue One had a lot of good, like kind of standard, but kind of like exceptional music to it. With the new trilogy, it's like you have the Rey wispy magical theme and kind of Kylo's like very basic theme, and that's it. There's really not like a lot of new stuff that's like iconic, like the prequels had. So yeah, I don't know. That's something else. It's Star Wars. So we'll see what comes next. Hopefully, it's more shows. That's all I'm hoping for. Is I'm hoping the massive success of the Mandalorian. It sounds like they want to go. There's some kind of Obi-Wan thing in production. Which yes. Yeah, bring back Ewan McGregor and bring back Hayden Christensen. He did a good job. It's just they had, questionable scripts to work with. But the characters themselves are good. The Clone Wars proves that by far. And more than anything, I want my fucking Duchess Satine story. I want to see Obi-Wan with his forbidden love with some semi-royalty on Mandalore. And them to have their whole little thing, and then, the sad tragedy of all that coming apart. It was so good. It's so good. If you've never watched the Clone Wars, just Google the Duchess Satine Mandalore arc, and it's so great. It's a good story. So, anyway, I'm hopeful for the Obi-Wan show. Hopefully they get their shit together now. Yeah, and hell, Pony's over too, isn't it? That's kind of crazy. Like, it's still weird coming to terms with the fact that there's no new episodes of Friendship is Witchcraft, of his magic. I thought that ended on a good note. We've already talked about the finale, but that ended on a really good note, and I was overall satisfied with it. I was actually a little sad that we didn't get more of Twilight version 3. What was her name? Like Autumn Blazy something. She had very neat hair. I really liked her mane. And then the pink color worked too. To have the continuity of of the Twilight Sparkle clones go on. Oh, I could probably take Doge Applejack off, can't I? It's been on there a long time. See, I'm just staring. This isn't like staring off this other screen with like a box of memes and stuff. Yeah, so that's been fun. I guess we have BabsCon coming up, which is fantastic. I'm so excited for BabsCon this year because not only will we have Needle and Lucas, our very own Harvest Orange, CEO of the EAST Corporation, in attendance. But James Vermont somehow was able to sneak aboard an airplane and get his way all the way over to the Western Hemisphere. So that's gonna be really fun. I'm gonna try to get a lot of good documentation and pictures and fun stuff there, because we're like official like community guests this year, which is really fancy. Like we're in more of a official capacity than ever at BabsCon this year, and I'm very excited for that. I'm going to do our best to, make it a gangbusters experience for everyone to enjoy. And, whether or not Confessions is out by then, it's a little bit up in the air. My life became a lot more complicated the last couple of months, because I sort of have a significant other now, and, so that just, that adds time that I have to divert away from creative projects. And then at the same time, I'm really kind of taking the cyberpunk approach, the CD Projekt Red approach of, I want to make sure it's like really ready. Like I want to make sure everything is perfect. And so, I've gone back and forth through the old sections and we're on like the 4th or 5th draft of the initial stuff and re-recordings and everything. I want it to be perfect, a good ending of this almost 6-year-old story now. So, fuck. So I don't know if the Confessions finale will be out before BabsCon or not. I'm just focusing on making it good. That's all that ultimately matters, is that it's a really good payoff and everyone enjoys it. Hello, Samuel Pierce. I see you in the chat too. Anyway, yeah. So. What else is there to talk about? I know 2020, Confessions, great experiment. I unfortunately don't have any updates for that. I'm waiting just as much as you are. I don't know. Kind of the same with Wasteland Survival Guide. Like we have I have the whole plan for what we do once all the episodes are done and we compile them all together in the big book and everything, but unfortunately, Needle is moving again, and she has a brand new, super awesome job. So I'm kind of waiting for audio. Once I get more audio, then I can turn them around into released episodes fairly quickly. But it's just hiccups now. So yeah, but so we do have we have another 15 or so episodes of Wasteland Survival Guide to go that are written or /planned. So it'll be good. Hopefully by the end of this year, we'll have that series finished. I don't honestly know. We'll see. Yeah. And then, anyway, speaking of series, we have a sort, well, not but within the realm of the fall of Equestria, we have a brand new, thing coming out that, Cinder is leading the production of, but it is Fiara the Tank Girl's Fallout Dead Tree story. And somehow, I still don't understand myself, I was able to get cast as one of the lead characters. A zebra character named, I hope I don't mispronounce it, Nyota? I think it's Nyota, Nyota. It's is it Nyota? It might be Nyota, like Bill Nye, the science bread. The science bry. Rye. That's it, rye bread. Anyway, Nyota is a very interesting zebra character and sort of the main companion of the, I believe, actual star main character, which is Wandering Sunrise, which if you see random Fallout Equestria art in the wild, she's is she a unicorn? I think she's a unicorn mare with a bright green body and mixed red and white colored hair and mane and tail. So anyway, it's a really interesting story. Everything I've read ahead and learned about it so far. Waiting to hear the scripts and get those out to everyone. And also, I've been lucky enough to work on the theme song. The Balefire Symphony is sort of working with Forest Rain as well, which is fantastic to get an opportunity to collaborate with her. And so yeah, it's been a very, very exciting process. Hopefully you'll get to hear that when the first episode chapter releases. I'm not sure when that is. It's not an actual EAST Corp production. We just got lucky to that many of us are involved with it. So we'll be sharing updates about that. Very excited. It should be a lot of fun, and I'm doing all I can to faithfully represent Nyota for everyone and make sure all the fans are happy with him. And Chris is in it as well. Our very our lovely our lovely Carmina, our lovely Red Reaper. She is also I think she's the narrator. So if you love the sultry accent of Carmina, you're gonna get to hear a lot of her, which I do. I find her accent very adorable. So that's gonna be a fun time. What else is going on? Shit, I might not even have 2 hours of content. I really strive to make these 2 hours long, but those are sort of the main things to talk about. It was the Star Wars, and then updates with EAST Corp, which there aren't a ton of updates, but the big one was I got a shitload of confessions written over Christmas, which is what I was aiming for. Because last year I got lucky. It never became like a thing. Like, I've always been somewhat productive over the winter. I don't know. It's just the mindset it puts me in. It's not really the weather per se. I mean, it's cold out, but it's like shitty California cold, where it's like, blue skies, but it's just, 40 degrees, or for our everywhere else in the world bros, like 5 degrees C out. So I don't know. It's just the mindset it puts me in. It gets me in the writing mood. And so last year I sort of surprised myself. I got like a shitload done, where going into the Christmas break, my time off of work for the holiday, I was at the end of section 3. So in the story, right when Carmina was done describing Outpost Tau and talking about what's inside and blah blah blah. So everything, basically the entire Canyon City arc, where she goes into the town just sort of investigating, and she goes back and she meets Corduroy, and then she goes back in all the way through torturing and killing Fuel Rod. That whole like sort of hour and a half section was completely written just over Christmas break last year. And so I was gunning hard to do the same thing this year, because I was so proud of that level of like output that I normally don't have this kind of free time. And I was able to do it. It's a very similar kind of section in the middle of the Confessions finale, where it's not in one location, but in a series of similar locations. And I was like, okay, I'm jammed in the mood. I've got my fucking Tron soundtrack playing in the background, just feeding me sort of aesthetic mood. Anyway, so I got a lot done, and I was very proud of that. So starting off to be a good year is what I'm saying. Samuel Pierce in the chat, what are your thoughts on Pony Life? I'll be honest, I didn't actually watch the commercials. I guess they pulled it off of their YouTube channel now, or it got, Wajinski off the platform. I have no idea. But yeah, I didn't actually watch the promo. I only saw the character designs, which the base character designs are actually kind of cute. Like, I know a lot of people compared it to like Teen Titans Go or whatever, but the base character design started to grow on me, especially as people were pony lifing all of the Gen 4 characters. Now the actual animation or the the execution, so to speak, that did not bring joy. Like that one weird angle like Fluttershy and the Pinky over the top and stuff, and that other trailer with like the CGI Pinkie Pie, that I did see. Not only was the voice like very disconcerting, because it's some non-Andrea Libman VA, and honestly a lot of fandom people, they probably could have done a better job doing a Pinkie style voice, but I feel like they're trying to get her away from being too over the top now or something. I don't know. That one was awful. Like all the weird, like all the reaction that Pony Life got, that weird trailer should have gotten in equal measure, because woof. Anyway, I don't even like Source Filmmaker horses, and those are 1,000 times better than whatever the fuck that was. My reaction is, it seems like, honestly, more of the, rather than Teen Titans Go, more of the vibe I got from seeing those was like, Avatar Chibi, or whatever they called it. Like, the thing that's common with a lot of anime shows where they just have a chibi, like, side series, a Ruby Chibi or whatever, where it's like, they're like little mini 5-minute episodes, and it's just like a fun side thing to do with the actual real characters. That's kind of vibe I got with Pony Life. So maybe they'll have an actual proper series that they Gen 5 with a capital G. But I don't know. For a silly thing, it could be done right. It could be good filler material in between whatever else they do with this, horse brand. Horse brand. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I guess the short answer is I really like all of the Pony Life transformations of G4 characters. A lot of them are actually really cute or well done by fandom artists, so that's kind of fun. Let me see here. What else is going on in these last Oh, I know. Cats. Holy cow. Cats. What the fuck happened? So you have like one of the most fucking successful musicals of all time. Like, Cats has been played on so many stages so many times. It's like it like, again, it's another one of those properties like prints money. It was like the symbol of Broadway, of the theater, the stage arts for like a good number of years. That was like the first thing a lot of people thought of. Now, I don't know what the story is. I don't think anyone knows what the story is. And I guess the show was like written based on a bunch of T.S. Eliot poems, which I had no idea about that. That was like, blew me away that there was like some origin to this that wasn't just Andrew Lloyd Webber writing a furry show or whatever. But yeah, the execution of this movie, whoo baby. I imagine the guys who did the movie version of Les Mis are so happy this exists now, because there was a lot of controversy when Les Mis came out because of the way they shot the singing on set and recorded it live with the acting and whatever. Completely did not work. Totally didn't work at all. They shouldn't have done that. They should have done like another Andrew Lloyd Webber piece, Phantom of the Opera, 2004. It is horribly obvious and jarring when the set recorded audio switches over to the professional studio singing audio, and you don't care. Because the set audio, it works in the context of they are acting, and then the music audio works in the context of, okay, now this is a proper nice song, and it just sounds way better because it was produced on the back end as a song, and they're just mouthing along with it. Holy cow. So, yeah, I wasn't a fan of Les Mis. I like Les Mis in general as a story. It's, it's a neat story. Some of the music, not so much. The huge Ackman, Wolverine, did a great job as Mr. Miz. The other guy, though, fighting around the world, he did not do a good job as the French general guy or whatever. Russell Crowe. Oh my god, that was awful. That was the best part of the movie, was when he kills himself at the end. I'm sorry, jumps, off the waterfall in Minecraft. Anyway, so my point is that movie did draw some controversy because the live recorded singing really didn't work. The visuals were great, the setup was great, and this back and forth scenes. It looked like a real movie rather than a stage musical that was recorded, which is how Phantom of the Opera looked. But with Cats, oh my god! Some of the reviews I've read where it's like, yeah, this is a this is like it's not even drawing like the furry crowd into supporting it, which is really sad. Like, how do you fuck that up? But the CG looks so awful. It's like a PlayStation 1 graphics and N64 graphics had, an illegitimate child, and the child is also like, exposed to a lot of radiation, or like the mom smoked or something, and oof, the CG just looks atrocious, and to the point that they're putting out like mid theatrical release DLC, which the Marvel movies have kind of teased their way with, like adding extra scenes and later releases and stuff. But this is like, oh no, we're just gonna send movie version 1.1 where there are better special effects, we swear. And I guess one way you can tell the difference is that Judi Dench, who plays one of like the main cats, there's a few scenes where they don't even animate the cat paws on her hand. It's just her normal hand with her wedding ring, and that's how you can tell you have the original version of the movie. But I saw one film critic from like, I don't know, Forbes or something describe like, yeah, it looks like the faces are just floating on top of like disembodied cat, anthropomorphic cat bodies. They somehow showbiz the original Sonic trailer in terms of like cringe-inducing visuals. At least Sonic trailer, they fixed those. Way better. I don't know what Cats version 1.1 looks like, but I'm guessing they can't fix it. I'm guessing it's beyond recovery because it sounds like it was just very poor visual execution all the way around. On one point though, it sounds like they got the music right. I mean, music already exists, so it's like, how do you get it wrong per se? But it sounds like the new arrangement, you know, the newly recorded accompaniment and the voices and characters, like they all did a good job, which for a musical, that is a big deal. As long as you got the actual musical right, at least a lot of Cats fans can buy the movie soundtrack and be satisfied. But as far as the visual experience goes, which is the whole point of, you know, adapting it for film, for theaters, did not go so well. So kind of made a mistake there. Some mistakes were made there. Samuel Pierce in the chat. Speaking of horse brand, have you seen the YouTube video Cartoon Horse Program by Crocodile? No, I haven't. I'm questioning now whether or not I should actually Google that. Is this something that's going to get me? Is this something that's going to get me Wachinski'd off of YouTube? I don't know. Cartoon Horse Program. Crocodile. Okay. Oh my god, from 2015? Oh, that is a fucking throwback. Oh, no, 2014. Oh my god. We're going back to the classics here. Oh, theme. Oh fuck.
My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic is a children's animated television program based on Hasbro's popular toy line of the same name and the 1950s
We're probably demonetized already,
film,
so it doesn't
All
matter.
Horses Cannot Operate Automobiles.
Oh yes, I have seen this. Yes, I do remember seeing this back in the
Inhabited by a multitude
day.
of cartoon horses, including unicorns,
Cartoon Horse
Pegasi,
Planet. Yes,
boring
it's all coming
horses,
back.
Giraffes,
See, this is
donkeys,
SFM done
Mustangs,
right, because
Mustangs,
SFM
colts,
is with
colts,
SFM
colts,
ponies anyway
and Mr.
are
Elk,
inherently
which is a
like
derogatory term used to describe horses
fucking
that can't be
Uncanny
treated well.
Valley. So taking
The show
that
is based
purposefully
around the life
in
of
a comedic
Twilight
sense,
Sparkle,
this is
a magical
you know,
power
this is done right.
comparable to Jesus. If, you know, Jesus was a horse instead.
If Jesus
Twilight
was a horse.
Sparkle has no friends, as every other horse fears her unequaled power and limitless knowledge of the arcane. This worries her mother, Queen Horsey Time, who decides to take action and help her daughter make some new friends. The Queen takes Twilight to summer camp at the prestigious camp where she's forced to make friends with the least popular girls in school.
She's forced to make friends with the least popular girls in school. Oh my god, middle school. It's all coming back to me. No. Yes, I do remember seeing that when it came out. That was great. Oh god. Okay. Fuck, we're not even at 1 hour yet. Oh my god. I had way less to talk about than I expected. In my defense, it has been a while since I've done one of these, and James Vermont popped up on the last one. So yeah. Yeah, that's basically all I had to talk about. I don't know what else do we talk about. You know, I'm gonna throw up this Joey Bean art. This is really great art that he put out for the holidays of the whole rare tea family, rarest of teas. Look at that. Look at how fucking cute that is. Got Papa and Mama and little Sweetie Belle there with her mittens and sweater and stuff. It is so fucking adorable. Oh my god. Yeah, so hopefully everyone had a good holiday break and yeah, just had a good time doing whatever the fuck they were doing. Yeah, it's funny. I don't know what comes after Confessions per se. I know I want to wrap up Wasteland Survival Guide. We have to. Unfortunately, that's not totally in my control. Like I wish it would be, but waiting to finish that, which would be great because then hopefully we'll be able to make a handful of physical copies or at least one big PDF, because there's a few little things I want to do, like hopefully tweak or remaster some of the older audio. I want to do like some spelling and grammar checks on the original scripts, maybe some rearrangement of the scripts. It's like just clean it up a little bit when it's in one big final package. Yeah, and honestly, I really love the visual look. I put out this picture long ago of this. I downloaded a bookmaking program and started like arranging text and images on there to see what it would look like to have the well, let's see where. I know I downloaded that picture somewhere. To have everything laid out on the page with like the chapter art and everything. I'm guessing I can't find this now, can I? This is deep in the recesses of the Facebook page. Yeah, so it's nothing like Dead Tree Studios where that is their sort of main product, is making the PvP books and everything, but it was like desperately do I want to have some kind of physical release. If I could, I would do what they did with Halo 3. I think it was Halo 3 or no, maybe it was Reach or something, where you had the Diary of Catherine Halsey and it like looked legitimately like a really good like aged kind of imitation looking thing, like it was actually something she'd been carrying around the galaxy for years and years. That was really cool. I really loved the way that looked and would love to do that with Wasteland Survival Guide if I had the means. I think if we get to that point, it wouldn't be like that. It would probably be like a normal kind of bound-ish book. We'd do our best. We'd look for something, but it'd probably be a limited release anyway. Fuck, where's that picture? I think I took it last year when I finished writing all of my own chapters for, yeah, there it is. And it's got the nice mug and everything. Oh, fuck. Here, let me pull it up on stream. Give me a second. I'm going to download it because I don't know where I put the original picture I took of this. It's on my old phone folder somewhere. Come on. You're not going to load for me now? I have the VPN on. Nothing should be slowing you down. Okay, here we go. Ah, look at that. Got the big mug on top, perfectly setting the tone. We've got the whoa. Okay. We've got the art on top for the title of the chapter, and so every chapter would kind of be like that, where the art or framing would take up like the top third of a page or something like that. Because of course most of the art was drawn with landscape framing in mind, which for the thumbnails and for the opening title cards and stuff. I knew it would be that way, but at the same time, even back in the day, I knew we wanted to have some kind of print version eventually, and I thought, okay, well, it could be very stylized and big, and it would just take up the top page and look good like that. So, anyway, I'm really excited to do this eventually with all the other chapters and get everything laid out all nice, and that's all I'm waiting on, so... And some of these last chapters coming up, last third, I guess, last 15, are really neat. I think we have a lot of neat like things in there that we haven't done yet, and so I really just want to see them made. There's a lot of really good meat and potatoes survival stuff, and there's a few goofy James Vermont stuff. I kid. But no, actually, there are some really good survival-y stuff from James too. And there's a couple more lofty ones from me too. And then we'll make the afterward. And then have that. So anyway, hoping for the best. Hoping for a nice survived wasteland. We're hoping the project survives long enough for us to actually make the book. Yeah, so that's that. And then I know James has been slowly burning on the Untypical 2. I have no idea what the status of that is. Last we heard from James, which was on the last BananaCast, where he actually showed up and it was sort of a classical podcast for a while. He mentioned that the current plan is that the Great Experiment, while initially considered making it an episodic thing, it sounds like that is gone by the wayside, which I think might be for the better too. That way it's not broken up into 5 like mini arcs, but rather the one big story, which really what it was. And so the big full thing, which will be, at least last time I checked, is going to be like 2.5 hours or something. Because I know I had a specific thing in there that's like 20 minutes. And then my own dialogue, which will probably trim down anyway, is like 45 minutes. So just me, myself, contributed like an hour's worth of usable product that he can play with. And then there's his own stuff. And then there's like 8 other people that we interviewed. And then there's like the other clips and video and stuff in there and music. So who knows? I'm really hoping for the best. I don't know what he and the Wubby guy are doing, but you know, I'm taking it at face value that it's gonna be, you know, it's gonna be good. That they're just taking their time to make it all perfect. So yeah, trust me, we're doing our best. Anyway. With Confessions, almost all the art is done for that, which is great. There's literally only one piece left, which is actually the title card. And it's something very specific that took me a lot of time to actually get the right concept art done with all the concept art details. And actually, I put a lot of time into like really like laying out why it has to look a certain way. It's got to really incorporate a lot of already established story points, and so I wanted it to be just right. But I was finally able to get that done and then get that over to Krellak, so he is working on that, and I think I should be getting that at the end of January or something like that. So, yeah, it should be good. I'm very, very excited with what the plan for the finale is and how it's all going to unfold. So, anyway, fuck, I don't I don't have anything else to talk about. I'm sorry. I've run out of topics that I already I don't know, maybe I thought that I'd come up with more topics as I talked, but not so much. So like I said at the beginning, I have stuff going on tomorrow night and New Year's Day. So this is our New Year's podcast. So if you want, you can just start playing this at midnight and and be disappointed that there's only an hour of it or something. I guess if you want more like really thick podcasts, we did a fuck ton of podcasts in the last couple of months. A few really big super duper ones. So the producers marathon we did with Terminal Secrets was really good. The follow-up Confessions podcast was really good. Our 3-year anniversary podcast, a couple other random stuffs, you know, spread in the middle there. Oh yeah, and then there was a BananaCast too where we talked about the copyright thing or whatever the latest YouTube bullshit was. Something about shooting ponies in a barrel. Oh, it might have been that Copa thing. Yeah. Which might have sort of resolved itself. It sounds like they put out better guidelines about what it's supposed to be. But it's YouTube, so, you know, you can only trust them as far as you can throw them, which is not at all. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Mainly, it was just those comments by that FTC guy that were just outrageous, and I had to make fun of it with the sea pony thing. I managed to break an hour. That is worth celebrating. Well, I mean, I guess they can't all be fucking marathons anyway, with the size of the actual Confessions episodes are so fucking big that, and to be fair, I put a lot of fucking time into that, Overstory compilation, which a lot of it is stuff that kind of plays straight. Like at the very end, it's just kind of plays out the Red Reaper. But especially early on, I'm very careful to just pull specific story points that maybe people missed or maybe kind of got, passed by the wayside, to remind them of things that are kind of open-ended, things that are kind of might matter for the finale. So I was really proud of that overall assembly, and hopefully a few people listened to that through and enjoyed it. And then later on, I was like, one thing I really wanted to do was really bring all of Battered Blade's stuff together, because I Am Shadow was such a trooper, and she was so incredible to stick with the series this whole time that I've been wanting to bring all of her stuff together in one compilation for a while anyway. So pulled out her original episode, pulled out both of her big Red Reaper segments, and then a lot of little bantery stuff in the middle, like stuff with Diamondback and stuff talking about the metal pajamas from the Ice Mare. So it's not 3 hours worth of her talking. I wish it were, but there's a lot of good segments in there that she just pipes in on, where she lands a nice little jab or a nice little bit of banter in there. So if you have 3 hours at all, you should definitely check out the Battered Blade compilation. I think that's a lot of fun. And it's a real testament not only to her character, but just I Am Shadow for being such a great VA and sticking with the series when really no one else would. Back at the very beginning, like, you don't understand, like, Confessions was, like, shunned by Stable Tech. It was, like, laughed off as some goofy idea, like, well, Skybolt, he's never written fucking fan fiction before. Like, I wasn't on the writing team or anything. Like, I was too busy with the music department and the VA department, and I don't know. It's like, and then when I presented the idea or the casting to the VAs, like, I didn't even get any submissions. They all, like, just ignored it. And this was at the time when all the VAs were fucking bitching because they all wanted to be Little Pip or they all wanted to be Steel Hooves, including me. But it's like all the main casts were already cast, and so I was providing them with this opportunity of, hey, you could be a star of this, you could be the only Battered Blade, the only Dr. Green Shift, and, because I felt bad too, because I was the same way. I wanted everyone to have some kind of part they could really, fill out and be their own or whatever, everyone the star in their own way. And I just got, like, not shit on per se. Well, one of them did shit on me, but the rest are like, just ignore it. And then after the time lapsed, and I was like, okay, I see how it is. So I went and talked to a few friends, and Shadow, she read it, and she's like, hey, this sounds kind of fun. And she did it, and that's history. And then it was super successful, and it was a big thing on our channel for a while. And then it got nuked because of all the worry over the original show names. And so then, again, she came back, Shadow, to re-record a bunch of stuff to make it so that it was, Stable Tech acceptable names. And then that was it for a while, because I felt so ashamed that I had to bring her back for something stupid like that. And I hadn't considered, what else the future might hold for the series. So then when episode 5 was developing and we were unshackled from Stable Tech and stuff, I was like, would you at all be interested in coming back and reprising your character? Because now that I'm used to writing 4-hour stories, there's a lot more I would like to tell about her life and Emerald and everything. And by God, she was the only one to show up. It's freaking Ian Anderson, the original Green Shift. He was gone. Or rather, both him and the original Rose Petal, I asked them before I even wrote their parts, and they both said yes. Or they both were, like, somewhat positive, like, yeah, let me know when it's ready, or whatever. And then 3 months later, when there was actually script ready for them with fucking the Ice Mare, where both characters make their return, both of them went AWOL. Both of them were completely AFK, were, status red in the text message. And I was like, okay. And so I'd already considered, like, the backup of, Needle Stitch. She had just replaced Nathikana on Terminal Secrets, so maybe she'd do this too. And so we went with that. And then Green Shift, I'd honestly always liked doing the voice myself when I was doing the demo recordings and stuff. So I'm like, I'll do my best to be Green Shift and whatever. I knew it was very different. And so after that one very story critical bit in the Ice Bear, I didn't write his character back, but because Battered Blaze, she was such a trooper, she came back not only for the Ice Mirror for those little fun bit segments, but then she came back for the big Red Reaper Part 2, and then the incredible Diamondack back and forth, which was so fun. And then the Red Reaper stuff, which again, she was a critical part of. So anyway, long story short, that's why I had to make that Battered Blade compilation, because there were two people ultimately that saved Confessions. One of them was her, and then the other one was Oakheart. Without her filling in that massive, untreaded, untested, like, scale of recording for being the engineer, Amber Horn, which is, like, basically one of the most critical characters in the series, if she hadn't come in and replaced the original VA, which is so funny because the original VA came back in a different way later on, but if it hadn't been for her, it probably would have been dead. I'll be honest, I was so like just depressed and like I don't know, getting detached from the whole series. I thought of maybe removing the VA aspect from it completely and just finally setting up a film fiction account and just posting them on there as scripts. But yeah, so those two were big players, and to some extent Hypnodunk too. Maddie coming in to play Homage, taking over as Homage, and then also as the Ice Mare. She also played a part in it continuing on. But yeah, so either way, I'm just glad it's almost done, to be honest. I'm glad I can finally put the bookend in the right way as I ultimately wanted it to be, and for it to just pay off for everyone. So I don't want to jinx it. It's still a chance that people pull out, I guess, because there are some voices in the finale that, but they should return. I think everything should be fine. Anyway, so knock on wood. Hopefully everyone comes back as they're supposed to. I Am Shadow is the best VA. She was so incredible. When I sent her again, this was pretty new territory for me too. Like, I'd done some voice direction on this is the first episode of the animated series. But before that, the thing that got me in the animated series position was I'd done some work for that ill-fated Last Stand of Harmony movie project where I was this cackling villain, which was going to be so over the top and ridiculous. And I was really looking forward to it because I actually put in a good, 6 months of working with the writers and other people there to really develop this ridiculous villain named Pandarus. And fuck, I actually have a lot of art from that original person too. I don't know if I've ever showed this on stream before. Let me dig this out. Oh fuck, where's my original Last Stand of Harmony art? Where's the link? There and there. There we go. Major projects. Last Stand of Harmony. Pictures. Art and animation. Pandarus. Here we go. Does it have the No, is the graduation art not in here? Oh fuck, where's that? Because that was so nice. Am I not gonna be able to find that now? That would take some wind out of my sails on this very tangential tangent. Oh, is this it? Yeah, Yeah, here we go. Okay, so they drew the character, she drew the character in its in graduation robes when I graduated from university, which was very, very nice. She totally, like, out of nowhere, it was just a nice little thing after months of doing this character. This is all in the middle of 2013, by the way. So I got cast for this whole thing before I even made the Facing the Fallout song, and the summer that followed with a lot of popular hits of mine, Sins of the Past, and it was kind of before. What else was going on that summer? Sins of the Past. I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. Velvet. That was in that time frame too. All those early big Fallout hits. Where's the other shit of this character? This is gonna be so ridiculous. This character was like an over the top, very Tim Curry, I could say it that way. It's very Tim Curry-esque kind of villain, you know. Think of It, or the Toxic Love, or yeah, you know, characters like that, where it's just gonna be like, I don't know. To some extent, I mean, it was just a big project, and so they were screwing around with art and screwing around with things they could do with the character. And some of it's a little saucy. I'll throw it up here. So why the fuck not? Anyway, you can see the hallmarks of early fandom on it too. The color scheme, the you know, the Alicorn subplot and stuff. It was a little bit silly, I'm not gonna lie. But I was excited. I was excited because it was a big character part for me to voice. And I just, you know, I wanted desperately to have something. This is before Stable Tech. This is, well, honestly, finally getting something like this is what, like, made me confident enough to start putting out voice roles. And one of the original people I was working with in this, Dapper Jack, who you might remember I did a duet song with around this time, based on the Friendship is Witchcraft songs. Gypsy, our compilation was called The Gypsy Pie Way, and it was from those two Pinky Gypsy songs. Anyway, because he has some Roma blood, and at the time I thought I was part Roma too, so we thought that would be really funny. Or, you know, apropos or whatever. Yeah. Anyway, so he introduced me to Tyler Teschke, ironically. So it was because of this Last Stand of Harmony project that I even got into Stable Tech at all. And so going back to all this, oh fuck, I don't know if I've ever showed this art before. I think she drew this one when I was sick for some reason, or at some point. Oh, and speaking of the Tim Curry connection, and here was a classical, fuck, what is that show called? Rocky Horror Picture outfit to really just capture the concept. And of course, is right around the time of BBBFF. Fucking Phillies and shit. Yeah, I know. I have a lot of this art. It's just, again, this was like a year I was involved with this group, and you can see one of the remnants on my channel as well in the what's the song called? Dusk's Lullaby, because I was also then going to be the singing voice of one of Celestia and Luna's parents, Dusk, Dawn and Dusk, Dawn the mom, Dusk the father, and she sings this very, lullaby, or, god damn it, he sings that lullaby that starts with that big, beautiful piano part written by Moonsey, and I was really proud of not only the lyrics, but just the way, like, the execution worked, and so, and then in retrospect, it was sad that it didn't work out. But, you know, that's life, and the fact that it led me into fucking Stable Tech is still, like, it's crazy, like, origin story, so. I don't know why he's got, like, it's funny, if this thing actually took off, he's almost like the ANCAP pony, which I guess might have worked in a humorous context of the character, because he's very, like, anyway, I don't even remember what the final story was gonna be, because it changed so many times that it was like, anyway. So, that being said, that was all one big tangent to say that, so that is where I got my voice direction, because eventually, as I was working with them, I became one of the more higher ranking or experienced, like, voice people. Ironically, this is my first year doing this kind of towards music shit. And, because of that, it gave me a testing ground, and I was able to pull together some humorous scenes and things, and sort of test scenes, and working with the VAs, and so that got me into that position at Stabletech. But that's all I was. I was music, which I had experience with, and then the VA direction on that side. And I got both of those done for the first fucking episode of the animated series. And so everyone thought of me in that, and they didn't even like that I was doing both of those. They were already in the process of tearing me away from being the voice director. But then, so none of them respected the idea of the writing at all until the episode came out, and it was a hit, and then everyone liked it, which made the fact that they nuking it from the channel even worse. And so then we have that re-release you can still see on the Stabletech channel when we re-released it in like fucking September. And a lot of the comments are like, oh, the new names are shit, you know, because this is right when they wanted to change the new names. And oh boy. So just like every bad decision Stabletech made, I bore the brunt of the you know, the stains on the wall, because I was one of the only ones producing real content for the channel. And yeah, but and a few people were caught like off guard, just like being the new thing anyway. So yeah, it was interesting, the origins of Confessions, where all of those are almost like I don't know, I almost think of them like test screenings in some ways. Functionally speaking, the first 3 episodes kind of are like one episode in and of themselves. If you combine Duchess Horror and Ghoul Doctor and X-Raider together, they only add up to about 3 hours, about roughly the same length as like The Ranger, episode 5. And so if you think of it that way, it's really a show with like is it 6 sections or 7? So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 7 sections, because the finale is definitely going to be like 5 hours. Maybe not 5 hours. It might be 4 or 5. It depends on the final editing. 4.5. Anyway, but when you lay it all out like that, and I really looked at like the time codes, because of the way the series unfolded, the midpoint of the series, like the dead middle of the plot line, is actually when Freezy, the Ice Mare, meets Pinkin. I'm not even kidding. It's like over halfway through the story when she physically enters the elf station. That's the midpoint of the series. So when you think of it in terms like that, all of the overarching plot lines of the other characters make a lot more sense. And of course, the initial 3 episodes being a setup of their own for the Duchess and her character arc and her commentary, and the Ghoul Doctor and Battered Blade makes a lot more sense on the back end. And so that's also the reason why, like I said, I was writing the overarching story during the development of the Duchess Horror, which is why, like, the engineer is introduced, and then they break free to the other broadcasting studio, and all those plot lines unfold. So yeah, this all came from the fact that I was pointing out that Star Wars really should have planned itself out a little better. But anyway, so that's the deep lore. And it's all because of course, not just the ones that save the series when I was at my lowest points with I Am Shadow and Oakheart, and to some extent Maddie, but everyone else, of course. And Ian Anderson's original Ghoul Doctor was fantastic and beloved, and I wish he could have come back for the Ice Mare, because I would have left it at that. If he just recorded that and be like, okay, I'm gone from the fandom now, fine, thank you for coming back for this, just to add that extended character continuity, that would have been fucking great. But no. Duchess Horror, I did want to bring her back a few more times because of the way Rose Petal's relationship is with the other main characters. That I wanted to bring her back at least 1 or 2 more times. So she had to definitely get recast, because Nathakana was way gone. As soon as Stabletech folded, she was, you know, she was the mom, like literally. Like, she's a little older than the rest of us, and literally a mom. And yeah, so She was the voice MILF of the series. All my love to her. I wish she didn't, give me the cold shoulder, but she was really fun to work with at the time. And then who else? I mean, some of the little initial ones too, like the original voice of Homage, who I was like really fleshed out the character for her, because one of the real reasons she joined Stable-Tech was to be Homage in some form, and I was like, it was all on the plate, and that was when she decided to pull out, and it was just sad. You can still hear her voice in really early downloads of Confessions, and also I think on the Stable-Tech channel version of Duchess Horror, you can hear her at that 28-minute mark. Before Maddie came in, but and also the one-off voice at the end of the X-Raider, Con Sunshine 58. She was, for just having like 2 lines of dialogue, she nailed them to be the final emotional gripping moment that really sold the first episode. So yeah, definitely appreciate her as well, and all the artists, even though again he could have left me too. Lee Chung for doing all the original art, Sancho for doing all the art lately, Krelak for all his contributions, have BK Your Way, who did like the Maricello art and some stuff like that. The big main Billfire Symphony art he also did. And then Vector Brony, who did like some things like the frame picture of Battered Blade and Emerald and Homage and stuff like that. So anyway, long story short, everyone who contributed to the series in one way or another was so appreciated, and I cannot believe, looking back, that now this 28-hour story is almost done, and it's more or less come together the way I wanted it. The only things I'd really change is keeping Ian Anderson and Nathy Khanna for the voices for their characters. But in terms of their actual, like, I don't think I'd have more lines for them or less. It'd be about the same. It's just the original voices. Yeah, it's something like that. I wouldn't change too much. It was really lucky the way everything turned out. So when it is done, and almost 30 hours long, and honestly, if you staple in the Terminal Secret story, which it basically is now, part of Confessions, then the whole series is almost 40 hours long, which is fucking great. And I'm very happy about that. Alright, maybe I should check the chat, because I actually... Oh, wow. Fucking 8 viewers now. Hell yeah. It's getting my horse dick hard. I'm getting very emotional over this. Yeah. See, when I don't have silly topics to talk about, then we get really emotional. Then the melodrama pours out. Oh, was Curry the voice of the main villain in the Brutal Legend game? That's neat. Yeah, I never played that. It is very unfortunate what happened to him. Why he hasn't been in things as much in the last couple of years, as he had a really bad stroke in like 2010 or something, and so that made things difficult. But God, what an incredible body of work for so many years, and he's still doing things, but it makes things harder. And then, of course, is Nigel Thornberry, one of his best parts ever. An absolutely loving character. Stable-Tech, this is your fuck up. Skybolt, this is my fuck up. Yeah, I know. I mean, I don't know. Some things they could blame on me were fine. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit of an attention whore. It wasn't that I was trying to monopolize attention. It was just the fact that I just wanted to do shit. Like, I joined it, and my ultimate goal of joining Stable-Tech, which was to be Steel Hooves, wasn't fulfilled anyway. So there's that. Like, I didn't get to play Steel Hooves until then Tinned Mint at EAST Corp Productions fucking 4 years later for a very limited engagement. So I know there were people who were just, jealous or whatever, were just upset by all the other stuff I was trying to do, but I'm I had good intentions as well. I really was trying to create a series where all the VAs could have their own character, where it would give me a chance to write and it would give other people a chance to be their own star in something. Like, you know, I wasn't going out just trying to hire or like literally physically hire or to seek out the most popular VAs in the fandom. Like, there's not some string of emails I sent to Ellie Monty or Noacking or whoever to oh, come be in my new show on Stable Tech Productions. No, I was legitimately trying to give people like myself a leg up, people who weren't known in the fandom, people who had no body work, and give them something that they could really prove themselves on, really cut their teeth on. The exception maybe being I Am Shadow. She did have a pretty good body of work beforehand, but she was the launch pad. She was the one that kind of gave it a chance at the very beginning when no one else did. And then after that, you know, Ian Anderson, that's his main thing. And Nathi Khanna was only Stable Tech kind of stuff. Oakheart, you know, got her start there. A web shoulder and stuff. It's like, you know, again, not casting aspersions on anyone or myself. It's just the fact, you know, people who weren't the Ellie Monties, people who weren't the Black Griffins or the Noackings or whoever else of the fandom. I want to give it, you know, you, the people. It was not purely selfish intentions for launching the show. And the fact that we wanted to give them something to fill in the gaps, because holy fuck, by the point of the release, the studio was like on fire on the inside. All of these stupid debates over art and animation and other stuff that was like, just get episode 1 done. That's the most important thing ever. Just finish 1 episode to prove you can do it. And then we can work out the iron details later. Just got to do the one thing first. But no, they couldn't even do that. Fuck. So, yeah, Stable Tech was fun. And then the one area I still had control of the series, which was the music, then we were in the constant shadow of of the Wasteland Whalers, which is like, I mean, props to them. They're incredible musicians. I do. Once I could get past my jealousy of living eternally in their shadow, at least in the context of Stable Tech, they're all great musicians. They're all great people as far as I know. But condolences for what happened to the one guy and everything. But fuck, man, I could talk to a therapist. And there are so many hours I could talk to a therapist, first explaining what the fuck Fallout Equestria is, and then about all of the complicated emotional roller coaster ride I rode all the way through Stable Tech. Woo! That was my roaring 20s. Oh my god. Anyway, point of all that being is we're here now. I'm so glad to be like I crossed the midway point of the Confessions finale story, and I was like, holy fuck, it's over halfway done. And now it's almost basically 2/3 done. And I'm like, man, it's just this third act now that I'm fine. I have the outline all done, but it's like getting all the real meat of the dialogue and monologues in there. I really can't believe it. Okay. Is this sappy enough for everyone? And is there any other topics you want me to switch to? Because I'm now running out of sappy things to talk about. I guess since this is a solo program, I can talk about my normal channel too. I have a lot of stuff this year, actually. I got a lot of good still hiccups. I got a lot of good songs done where I felt like 2016 and 17, when both during my move and during some of the pivots to get EAST Corp off the ground and stuff, I felt like my normal channel suffered a bit in terms of content. But the last couple of years, it's turned around. We got the Human Touch, that was great. Where we got I started a new tradition of Valentine's Day songs. Got some more compilation albums done of the old stuff. Everybody Loves Somebody, the Samurai Jack thing. Be Happy Together did really well. Take Me Home to the Vault. Pulled out some other old songs, Pyro. The second song I rewrote way the fuck back in 2012. I started posting the clips from our What the Fix shows. Those were great. So happy together. Christmas songs. And then Pillars of Equestria's release. And then just a bunch of other fun stuff. Survivor and Other Friends. I'm Gonna Cut You Down. Smile, Brains. And then of course all the Fallout parody songs I've wanted to do for the sake of the series. So yeah, it's been a good couple years on my channel. It's never quite gonna be the 2013, 2014 heyday. Ha ha ha, heyday. But I've had some good stuff. And hell, actually on the Stapletech channel, we've had a few more, or god damn it, on the EAST Corp channel, we've had a few more like really solid hits. Well, and the Stapletech channel too, where, Get Happy did super duper well. That I didn't even expect how well that would do. And then the other major one I was involved in, the Dashite song. and then on the EAST Corp channel, the Everybody Knows did really well for some reason. And then our male parody of Fallout Equestria, Colonel Autumn Leaf parody of Open Up Your Eyes did really well for some reason. So it's been fun, man. It's I guess with the MLP ending and we got Terminal Secrets done, gonna get Confessions done, gonna get Wasteland Survival Guide done. I'm going to put every last fucking bookend on all of our series. It's all gonna come together nicely in a fine little bow. Gonna wrap it all up for sure. I'm not gonna leave anything hang open. That's for sure. I'm gonna bring it up on every BananaCast that you planned an SCP radio play. Oh God, I did plan that, didn't I? An SCP style radio play, I should point out. So I don't know how that would turn out. I do have short story-esque ideas that I could populate a series like that with. If I did do that, I would probably break it up into like seasons or something, where it'd be like 8 episodes that are like 20 or 30 minute episodes. So sort of the original intention of Confessions, which was like the X-Raider, where it's like a 20 or 30 minute story. And now that I'm so much, more experienced with writing, I could, I think, crank a few of those out in good measure, but I'd only want to do it if I had like enough really good ideas to make them good. And they wouldn't all be sci-fi per se. Some would be sci-fi, some would be kind of fantasy, some would be kind of horror or eldritch horror and get very Lovecraftian. So, yeah. I don't know. I do have ideas for executing a series like that. When I would actually get to that, I'm not sure. Because, at least in the immediate future, my plan after Confessions is I want to get something of some form, either like mid-form, like a novella, like a confession story, or a full novel kind of thing up on Amazon. I want to get like an established Amazon author account that it wouldn't be Pony. Again, none of these things would be Pony. This is like the bookend of my horsing around on the internet. But just to establish like a regular author's profile and body of work. And just I kind of go through the experience of getting that set up and seeing if they would accept my recordings of doing my own audiobook through like whatever that company is, ACX or whatever. It's all owned by Amazon. So just get my own voice in my own book on Audible would be fucking magical for me after 5 years of listening to dozens of audiobooks and really just consuming a lot of literature that I wouldn't have done otherwise, because I don't have the time or patience to sit down and physically read things. You could call it like millennial syndrome or whatever, but it's just how I've always been. Really since school. Really in like high school especially burned away a lot of my interest in physical reading of books because of all the stupid shit they made us read. We had a few good things, like Fahrenheit 451, first Lord of the Rings. A few things like that, but so many of the books were dumb shit. Wuthering Heights, Bronte Sisters, and all this other shit that I just had no interest in whatsoever. And yeah. All right, what else are we talking about? You mentioning all those names makes me want to see what your take on a radio play based on the first Quake game would look like. Now, you see, Quake is a series I always found had a lot of interesting like elements to it. I don't actually know the story of Quake, so if you wanna drop a TLDR, or actually I could pull up the Wikipedia original Quake plotline. But I do remember the Rooster Teeth miniseries that was kind of fun about it. Oh yeah, it did have Trent Reznor do the soundtrack, didn't it? All right, what was the Quake game's original plot? The player takes the role of a protagonist known as Ranger, which was actually voiced by Trent Reznor. That I didn't know. That's kind of cool. Who was sent into a portal to stop an enemy codenamed Quake. Okay. Hey, who the fuck edited this article? The period does not go after the quotation marks in American English anyway. I don't know if that's like a British thing, where the quotes go before the punctuation. I don't know. It looks weird to me. I don't like seeing like a floating full stop out there. Anyway, the government has been experimenting with teleportation technology and developing a working prototype called a slipgate. The mysterious Quake compromised the slipgate by connecting it to its own teleportation system, using it to send death squads to the human dimension in order to test martial capabilities of humanity. The sole surviving protagonist in Operation Counter-Strike is Ranger, who must advance starting each of the 4 episodes of an overrun human military base. The enemy later discovered as Shub-Niggurath. Niggurath. Let's pronounce it that way. What the fuck? Is this like a Lovecraftian thing? Yeah, it is. Cthulhu mythos. Okay, well, I love me the Lovecraftian stuff, that's for sure. Anyway, if you're asking me what I would do with a general concept like this, then yes, starting with a Lovecraftian baseline, which I'm operating on in general anyway, and I would probably do something like Mist, Stephen King's The Mist, because the Frank Darabont movie blew me away when I was in high school. I still love that movie, but that like really, in terms of like writing concepts, that really like fostered a lot of like the desire to craft my own cosmic horror type stories with that kind of thing. So I would definitely take an approach like that for sure. I would have a lot of fun with this kind of concept, and I'm not even going to maybe I already have a similar kind of thing that I have this one document. This is the same with Confessions when I was really starting out and laying out that skeleton and then figuring out what individual episodes I wanted to tell along the way. I had this whole list that started out with like 12 or 15 different story ideas, and a lot of them got combined together into the 8 or 9. But I'd like this giant, massive, super duper outline / ideas sheet that I've just been working off of for the 5 years. And basically, as soon as I develop an episode or, a concept, then I strike through or delete that from the master sheet. So it's like, it's done. I was able to integrate that idea in somewhere. I have a very similar sheet that I've had a longer time since college, 10 years ago, when I actually started actually writing, when I actually started toying around with composing prose and fiction and stuff. I have this whole 50,000 word manuscript that I'll probably never release. I don't even know if I probably still have it somewhere, but it was it was more of a Fallout fan fiction than Confessions, let's put it that way. But it was my attempt at making a cohesive end of the world story like that. I didn't get too far. It even though it's 50,000 words, it's really only like act 1 of the story I wanted to tell. And looking back on it, there's a lot of obvious like storytelling mistakes I made and things. If I were to recover that, it would be in many different forms, and I'd probably chop it up into pieces and rearrange everything in a different format. Anyway, and so ever since those days when I started writing that story, which was called PASS, by the way, PASS, which is an acronym for something that would have been a plot point in the story. Going back to PASS, fuck, where was I going with that? Oh, I've had a master outline, super duper writing prose document of every little idea I've had. Every short story, every general concept, everything that I see out there that I want to do my own version of or inspired by kind of thing. I have this giant outline document that started out as like a Windows or Microsoft Word 2003 document. That has slowly been growing over time, and it's the same kind of thing where I eventually want to just go line by line and integrate that idea into a story somewhere and strike it off the list. Because that's just the way I operate. Is I build a list and it's like a to-do list where then striking it off is like, it triggers the reward center deep in my brain, and I'm like, you accomplished that. And, you put that to work. And so I'm just, hacking my mind to make myself productive. And I did something very similar, or I took that concept in a new way for the Red Reaper, where, starting with the Red Reaper over last summer, where I composed a sort of timeline document of, I would like to have this chapter done by this date. And it was a living document, like that date might get pushed, there's like, oh, I gotta go to this birthday party, so maybe next weekend. But just having that floating set of milestones, even if they were floating, just having those milestones in my mind's eye helped me to focus and helped me to really crank out production and get stuff done. And so anyway, I guess I'm drifting into what to do if you want to be a writer kind of stuff. So anyway, that's been my process, I guess. I forget where we started with this. Oh, the Quake. I plan on creating my own spiritual successor to Quake called Maelstrom. Oh, that is good. That's a good name. I love those, like, those $10,000 words that come up every once in a while. That's like, yes. I stumbled across something recently that I want to make use of somehow. Is this thing called uncleft beholding, like uncleft and then beholding. And what it was is it's like not really a short story, but it's basically a guy writing the basic principle, like a Wikipedia article about atomic theory, but using only Germanic words. Like the English language is this giant hodgepodge, right? Of like Latin influence from the Normans and the Romans and Celtic influences and classical Anglo-Saxon influences and other Germanic kind of whatevers. This strips a lot of basically all of the Latin stuff away, and it leaves just like the Germanic or Scandinavian and I think Celtic to some degree terms. And it's really fascinating to read. If you ever have a chance, it's not that long. It's like 2 pages. Uncleft beholding. And when you think about the words, you get it. It makes sense, but it is so cool and foreign sounding. If you're a native English speaker, it sounds so like mystical and like ancient the way it describes these very normal-ish concepts like electrons or like atomic theory, but in these really old-fashioned like Germanic terms. So it's very neat. It's a very neat thing. And ever since discovering that, I've tried to look up more Anglish kind, because that's like what they call it, ANGLISH. Kind of documents, because I would really love to use that for writing like a foreign, quote unquote, cultural group in like a story somewhere where it's like, or like another dimension. Like that could be like a fringe thing where you go to another dimension and everyone's speaking that, where there's no Latin influence at all. Like maybe it's a world where the Roman Empire fell or the Roman Republic lost to the Carthaginians. And the Mediterranean descended into intense civil war, and neither side created a grand Mediterranean empire. And so all the Germanic or Teutonic tribes all did their own thing, and there's Celts and stuff. I don't know. is very neat. Anyway, stuff like that is what you want to look up to get like story ideas. Just really obscure concepts or obscure points in history. Like I also read an article about the Taiping. I think it's Taiping Rebellion. I think I have that right. Right? It's like a Chinese civil war from like the mid 1800s, but it was on this like really intense, crazy, like religious leader guy who thought he was the brother of Jesus Christ, and I had no idea. This is like a major war where like millions of people died, all because of this one crazy dude who's like, I'm the brother of Jesus, and this is my heavenly kingdom, and now we're gonna go sack Shanghai. It's like, whoa, fucking chill, man. So, anyway, just obscure moments of history like that. Things like SCPs, that's another great thing for writing fodder, or any kind of like short stories kind of thing. Because usually a concept like that, yes, it influences you to think, what would I do with that kind of set of plot points, or what would I do in that kind of setting or time period or scenario. And it's just great for, you know, getting the old noggin jogging. Oh, fuck, are we almost at 2 hours? All right, you caught me monologuing. We're gonna make it to 2 hours after all. Anyway, your mention of Maelstrom, that's another great thing, is looking up like more obscure words or like older English words or stuff, and then seeing like, you know, where those got applied. And just, you know, it's like, it's a journey. Just never stop consuming. not in like the meme way of being a consumer, but like in the really legitimate way of just being thirsty for knowledge, like looking everywhere, random old cartoons or old. I was reading the other day the Wikipedia article on Mission Hill, that adult animated series from the end of end of the 90s. It was like, I think 99 to 2000. Anyway, Mission Hill had this really unique art style where everything is a very vibrant sort of neon looking colors, and I was like, that is really cool. Like, whose idea was that? Where did that come from? And the main colorist or art lead for the show, she talked about, oh yeah, so I got the idea for this whole like color palette thing from this old comic series from like 10 or 20 years beforehand. And so I followed that rabbit hole, and I looked up that comic series, and it's almost the exact same kind of thing. Like the bright blue hair and the color palette of the backgrounds and that sort of thing. And it's like, that is really neat. Anyway, so it's another fun fact for writing. In a similar kind of way for voice acting or character creation, just think of it like in the fusion aspect. Like, say you don't want to rip off Alien directly and just make your own, like, this is my Ridley Scott's Alien. The key to any kind of fiction writing is combine two things. Just find something like, okay, I really like Alien, which is really cool and stuff, but I don't want to just, like, you know, get sued by 20th Century Disney. So let's mix it with something else and change all the proper names and stuff. So you pull in another sci-fi series. So pull Alien, but combine it with, you're also a fan of, I don't know, Firefly. It's just so merge that whole, like, just merge concepts together and come up, obviously, with unique characters or sort of trope, settings and stuff. But like, that's the easiest way of, like, coming up with new things is just take two old things and put them together. And the whole creative process of sewing, marrying two concepts, character ideas, setting ideas, whatever, together, that's writing. Then that's all it really is just like you're taking the two things, and your whole process of figuring out how those two things work together, it will create the new thing. And, maybe you could be a whole nother kind of like a genre-defining writer or artist or whatever, where it's like, hey, no one ever thought of combining steampunk with, with something that hasn't been combined with steampunk by this point. Okay, how about like, anyway, you get the idea. And that's a great way, especially for early writers. And I think that's a reason why you see so many people start off with things like fan fiction, because it's just, it's a great way of like you're picking up the toys from someone else's toy box, and you're using them for your own way. You have like more. You're not playing with completely a raw like map, a completely like tabula rasa, and you're completely creating a new story from scratch. You have existing settings, you have existing characters that you can use, and you can get that practice of composing a story arc, or figuring out the best ways of expressing emotion, figuring out the best ways of developing relationships between two characters. It's I think especially it's a generational thing where it's like now people are understanding like, yeah, the line between fan fiction and normal writing is really just like, successful, application. Like, well, think of like Sherlock Holmes. Like Sherlock Holmes, there were only like a few stories that were actually written by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then a lot of them after that were just essentially fan fiction, because those were in the days where there wasn't this insane kind of copyright law where you could really just be like, this is my Sherlock Holmes book, and print it and make money and stuff. And I would love nothing more than seeing that day return of really limiting the application of copyright, where my theory is it should only go the career of the artist that came up with it. So let's say you're Paul McCartney, and you just wrote which specific songs did he write again? I don't know. The Beatles. So you strike it really big. You get on the David Letterman. Fuck, he was like a child at the time. You get on a show, and you got all your Beatles music out there. 25 years to reap money from that success. Like, literally 2 of the band members die before that time limit's even up. And then after 25 years, and you've gotten all the money you can get from that product, then it enters the public domain. And then other people can play with that music, can play with those ideas or things. And it's the evolution of culture. That's what you want. Ultimately, you want your thing to become part of the public domain and exist within the subconscious of that group, of that like, time, of place in history. I mean, you look at a lot of very groundbreaking like authors, at least in American history, and a lot of other history as well, like the Lovecrafts and the Edgar Allan Poes, who had no recognition during the lifetimes whatsoever, and it was only after the fact did their stuff become like super stardom. Like, do you really think like distant family members should get some kind of like corporate monopoly on their work? Like, as far as I know, Lovecraft didn't even have kids, so it's like, would his like nieces and nephews, do you think they should become millionaires because their uncle, who they didn't even treat right when he was alive, wrote some amazing stories a lot of people really fell in love with? No. It's the old money problem of like a real creator or an industrialist building up a giant like thing. Their kids aren't going to have the same respect or aptitude with it that they were. They didn't have the same life experience or most likely the same level of aptitude at that thing. And so it's like, why should they then reap like 50 or 100 years of exclusive copyright benefits from that? That's stupid. It's an archaic, regressive way of thinking that's really only enforced at the point of a gun, which is what all these kind of laws are ultimately about. Steampunk militaristic mystery. That does sound fun. Steampunk death races. That sounds fucking awesome. That's basically what Mad Max is. Except, Mad Max is technically diesel punk, but steampunk races also sound amazing. Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, there you go. I nearly missed this, so what have I missed? You missed me giving up on on what else to talk about like an hour ago, and then we found another hour anyway. We found a way. 2 hours of Star Wars. It was not that bad. It was like 30 minutes of Star Wars, I swear. What hasn't been mixed with steampunk? Steampunk Pokemon. There you go. Could you imagine? Oh fuck, that probably exists somewhere in the recesses of the internet. Steampunk Pokemans. Oh yeah, there's tons of steampunk Pokemans. So much art. Some of it's a bit generic. It's not as fully fleshed out. But imagine if you could really make money. Imagine if you were some guy or gal or whatever on like tumblr.com and you're like, I have a great idea where I'm going to write my own Pokemon story, but it's a alternate universe steampunk 1900, and the invention of you could set it around Silphco, because of course this is the Gilded Age of industrialists and whatnot. Make it like the first dude, Mr. Sylph, inventing the first Pokeball and revolutionizing the entire relationship between humanity and these magical super deadly creatures that are like fucking everywhere. And that he can just capture these monsters now within these unique prisms that are powered by some bullshit, a magic crystal or whatever, and how that like changes the world. You could do so much, and that's the thing, like Pokemon that's almost at 25 years old. How great would it be if some person could really do that now and publish a book or write an art series or do a fundraiser on KickFundMe and get $2 million to make their YouTube channel movie projects, like what was their name? Was it Laser Unicorn? I think that was the name of the company. What was the name of it? Like that 80s like short film that ended up getting David Hasselhoff to do the main song? Fuck, that was an amazing song too. The True Survivor? Oh my god, that was so good. Anyway, so that's all I'm saying. I would be a hypocrite if I held any other position besides the fact that copyright has gone too far. It's gone too far in a few places. So anyway, it's a lot of interesting discussion that could be had on it. And I think especially with the furthering of the further aging of the internet, more and more people are coming to terms with the fact that yeah, we've kind of gone a little bit too far in a few places. And then you have some people, like the people who seem to want to enforce copyright the most are also like the worst people ever. So then you have like the Fine brothers that want to copyright a general concept. Like, guess what, guys? We're going to make it so all internet reaction whatevers are part of the Fine Brothers Entertainment Network. Like what the fuck? Could you imagine if you had like fucking George Lucas in 1977 being like, okay, so I'm going to copyright all sort of vaguely westerny looking star like spacey future stories that have aliens and stuff. Could you imagine that if like then Firefly comes along and George is like, oh no, you little piece of shit, I'm gonna sue your ass off with my $2 billion Lucasfilm company or whatever. Could you imagine that? Like luckily people like don't tolerate that kind of shit, and it's like only by vestigial laws is it even that bad still. Like or you think of what happened to the Star Wars theory guy, where he made this really dedicated like Darth Vader like short fan film, and like immediately Disney nuked it, and he couldn't make any money for the first couple of weeks or whatever. And it's like they worked something out on the back end, I think, but it's like, come on. It's like ultimately these things start out because they're a fan of something. Like, I don't know. There's got to be some leniency. And I think more and more artists are seeing the advantage of not becoming pariahs by being so vigorously defensive of their stories or concepts. Another comparison that I like to bring up from the last 20 years is Rooster Teeth. Could you imagine if in 2002, 2003, some guy at Bungie or Frank, I almost said Frank Darabont. Who's the Bungie Frank guy? Frank O'Connor, something. Anyway, if they saw these guys in their little cartoon online where they recorded in-game footage and said bad words like cocksucker and stuff, and they were like, oh, not on our Christian sci-fi series, and they like called up They called up like the Texas state, Texas State Police or whatever, and being like, "Hey, our copyright's been violated. We wanna sue these guys, get every dollar they had." And then that buried Trocadero, and it buried all future Rooster Teeth productions and things. It's like, I don't know, man. Okay, I'm definitely rambling now. I have no idea how this started. 2 hours of Star Wars. No, it wasn't that bad. What hasn't been mixed was Diesel Punk. Yeah, there you go. War Thunder and Destiny 2. That actually sounds exciting. Steampunk farming. That does sound fun. I'm not gonna lie. The reason I brought out steampunk is because I did come up with an interesting steampunk. I actually have two very interesting. I think are interesting steampunk concepts. I came up with 10 years and 5 years ago, respectively. And I've done fuck all with them so far. But they're both sitting on my master outline document, and I'm going to do something with them someday, either in a short story form, or fucking musical, if I'm lucky, or whatever. The second one would work so fucking great as a musical. I came up with it right after Fall of an Empire, and I'm like, God... I tried to sell L Train on the idea too, but he wasn't having it. So instead, we wait in eternal purgatory to see if he ever wants to do Pillars of Equestria Part 2 or not. I guess we'll find out in 3 fucking years, won't we? I hope we get to do that someday. That's another thing where I had the whole outline for the whole story done when we first wrote it, and then after the first part came out over the summer, I refined the part 2 outline, so it's all ready to go. It's all sitting there. It's just if he ever wants to go back to it, which I understand him wanting to do other stuff in between or right now, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Skybolt 2020 New Year's resolutions. I'm gonna be honest with you. If 2020 is as good as 2019 was, I'll be fucking satisfied. Like, in retrospect, I had a really rough 2018. There were a lot of things in my life that just took missteps and did not go right. And, I don't know. It's like I spent every other week in, like, not a panic or a panic attack per se, but it was like always uncertainty. It's like with every piece of good news I had, there was a backhand. There was a piece of bad news that followed right after it and knocked me off of whatever, euphoria I was experiencing from something going right. Fuck, that was a weird year. 2019 was the opposite, where it's like every time I had good news, it just was. There was no karmic rebalance. There wasn't some bad thing that followed up right after it that knocked me back down a peg. It was just a good year. And God, I hope this year can be just as good without the health problems. I had a few neck and back problems this year. That was the only real noteworthy detraction from an otherwise really good year. 2018 was the big stress. You can actually go back in some of the EAST Corp live streams, and you can hear me talk about the big stresses. Let me see if I could find. There were 2 of them specifically where I really am just I'm just done. I'm just done in so many ways. Okay, let me mute that so it doesn't pollute the stream. Okay. Where is it? Oh, here we go. It was one called Skybolt Decompression Stream. That was a particularly right after a particularly bad thing. And then later on in the year, in November, there's there's the beta block. This is BananaCast beta block, where I talk about my frustration with the beta, and then I also lay out how it was in the context of some other really shit stuff that was going on at work around the same time. So that was fun. Yeah. Oh God. I hope 2020 can be as good as this year has been. Ideally, 2020 is the year at BabsCon. We're all going to meet together. Vermont's going to be there. Needle's going to be there. Hopefully going to should be finishing Confessions in the next couple of months. Maybe we'll finish Wasteland Survival Guide. We'll see on that. See what I end up doing with my channel. See if I end up getting something put down that I can something substantive enough that I can post it on Amazon as a standalone thing. Hopefully they'll accept my own self-recordings for Audible, because then to be able to listen to myself narrating my own audiobook on Audible is like a big bucket list item. I have another work thing coming up that I hope I am successful at. We'll see about that. I was lucky enough this last year, so I'm not being greedy, but it would be really cool if the thing happened. Yeah, so those are my big 2020 resolutions. Kind of some smolders of a relationship, so we'll see where that goes. I hope it works out well. I've only briefly mentioned to her the nature of my body of work here, all this 7 years of horse stuff. So that could be an immediate like nope, and she disappears. Which I'm kind of expecting, but I don't know. See what happens. So yeah, there's that. But hey, at least I'm making money. This is ultimately all that matters. Is I've got a savings again. I'm not having my ass wallet drained by frickin' the Bay Area. Oh my god, that is unsustainable. I don't know how anyone lives there anymore. I assume they're all like the children of Silicon Valley billionaires or something. Whoa! Amazon? Yeah, like Amazon, like self-publishing. I want to pursue the self-publishing route because A, there is no way I'm going to attract like conventional publishing. B, I want to have very tight creative control, so that way if I do decide to build the Skybolt extended universe of some stories, that I can do that freely without having stuff locked behind like, oh no, this story and all of its related elements are owned by Simon & Schuster, and then over here this story and its related elements are owned by Random House Productions. Like, no, I want to retain creative copyright control. Again, not for the irony of what I was saying earlier, but to not be prevented from writing my own stories and characters by a corporation that owns the copyright to my own ideas. It's like, it's the opposite. I don't want that to happen. Skybolt 2021, the musical. Oh, fuck, that'd be great. I mean, that would be like the cherry on top, is L Train being like, okay, fuck, let's just do part 2 then. Or something else. I pitched to him 2 or 3 original full or whatever opera musical ideas that we could do if he wanted to, but he does him, man, and I'm just there to answer the call if he ever gets that itch. A Miss Skybolt. Yeah, we'll see. If I should be so lucky. Yeah. Shows her his work, and she flips out and turns into a big fan. Oof, that's the fucking dream, isn't it? I don't know about that. I've already sort of decided that like the icebreaker would probably be Fall of an Empire. I still kind of feel like that's my most what's the right way of putting it? My most universally acceptable like thing, like it's the thing that you can easily play or point to for someone to be like, oh yeah, this is a thing of artistic value. Yeah, you can't open with the line of, this is my 40-hour long My Little Pony Fallout Equestria fanfiction story. Like, it's like so many other problems with modern culture. It's like, how the fuck do you explain this to someone? How the fuck do I explain, like, okay, so there's, My Little Pony, right? This is the 4th version, but it's not just that. It's an entire internet community of young adults, of 20s and 30-somethings that really, really fucking love this show. How the fuck do you describe that to people? It's easier these days because now it became shocking, and then a lot of people are used to it. But I still have a lot of friends that are very offline. You don't understand. I have so many like partitions to my life. Like, It's like the Japanese, like, masks concept. I have a mask for this group of friends and this group of friends. And it's like, I have so many friends in my regular life from like college and stuff. They're completely offline. Like their deep social media experience is like Facebook, like they're boomers or something. I don't know how to describe like my advanced, circles of Discord server friends that like to talk about nuclear horses and all the things we could do with them. Fuck, it's so hard, man. So that's why I focus on my career. I'm like, okay, as long as I'm making money, like, that's intrinsic value that I can accrue while figuring out, spending a year and a half to describe to potential whatever is like, okay, so this is what I like to do in my free time. Fuck. BananaCast. Yeah. Well, that is the other thing. So there won't be a Lonely Hearts podcast this year, which is good. In that sense, unless it all goes south before then. But, no, I'm actually probably going to be too busy in February anyway. So what I'll probably do, we'll see if this works out. We'll see if we can have a ladies' night cast and bring in as many of the female VAs as we can who are part of the other things. But here's the trick, because like, they're all probably going to be out doing their own thing. So probably, most likely, what we'll do is we'll have the podcast on like the 12th or sometime beforehand when they might be free and not, experiencing the wonders of St. Valentine's Day. Yeah, and then we just post that or whatever. I don't fucking know. All I'm focused on right now is getting confessions written. I'm doing my damnedest to get that done within a reasonable time frame without jumping the horse with it. Fuck. I fucking love this shit. yeah, just tear my heart out and bleed for the internet. It's pretty crazy how many streams there are now. Like once I got that big like super duper podcast playlist together, I was like, oh my god, there's like hundreds of hours of monologuing and dialogue and stuff. It's like the Simpsons thing. It's like if you really wanted to, you could digest all of this through some kind of like advanced algorithm and probably do like deep fake audio of my voice. Oh god, that would be horrible. As if there isn't enough of my voice on the internet as there is. Is there a bona fide Baby Yoda? I bet $100 Minecraft dollars that probably exists. Let's Google that. Baby Yoda Pony. Okay, let's see what Google Images turns back. It's art of it's art from Shibarol of Cozy Glow in the Baby Yoda little tunic with her little whatchamacallit, the tea glass that she was sipping from Starlight Glim Glam the Shim Sham. Okay, according to Derpy Buru, there are 8 instances of Baby Yoda on Derpy Buru. It's sort of a comic, a very rough, like 3-panel, like meme comic. A 2-panel comic with Sombra, like capturing Baby Yoda, like he captured baby demon child. Oh, here we go. The Mayor DeLorean of Applejack, the Mayor DeLorean, and Baby Flurry Heart, which is funny because Baby Flurry Heart is a monstrosity and she should not be celebrated. She should be disposed of. There we go. All right, let's see what else there is. There's some kind of comic which looks like whatever. Yeah, a lot of these are really like 2-panel memes, basically. It's not like an actual Baby Yoda comic or whatever. And that's it so far. So I say it so far because A, The Mandalorian did so fucking gangbusters that there's going to be a season 2, and it's probably going to make all the money. So, you know, by rule, what is it, 34D or whatever? Like, if it exists on the internet, there's a pony of it, which is very true. Like, if you go through, like, things on Derpy Buru, it's crazy what kind of stuff you'll find on Derpy Buru. Like, someone made a pony of this? Really? God damn. God damn. It's pretty amazing. Like the Packers, the Green Bay Packers, for all my fellow Americans out there, the Green Bay Packers are a football team that live in the frigid north of Green Bay, Wisconsin, which is where my dad is from. And so we grew up, this is a Packers household. No, my dad's pretty chill in general, but I did grow up watching the Packers with him. So we still follow it year by year. And for some reason, someone decided to draw Glim Glam the Shim Sham with a Packers brand cheese head on her head. For some reason, she's not even like that kind of character, like the Fargo pony was. But for whatever reason, there's art of Starlight Glimmer wearing a cheese head. 101 reasons why anti-bronies hate us. Yes, absolutely true. It's just the absolute, like, relentlessness to memify everything. It's to shove a horse in a meme is simply incredible. So if you love pony, it's great. There's so much of it everywhere. If you don't, I can kind of see why people might not like that. Beep fake BananaCast. Oh god. Well, it's lucky because who the fuck would want to deep fake me? It's like, yeah, no, it's not even interesting. I'm just a monkey dancing for like 12 people on the internet. I'm gonna tape them to a chair and force them to listen to every single one of your streams. Oh god, that's gonna be declared a war crime by the Geneva Convention. That's like, you can't just do that. You can't just play nuclear horse-related podcasts for prisoners. Can you imagine that? Now I'm picturing like a CIA black site actually doing that. Could you imagine some random like, you know, rural Afghani like in some bullshit like black site in Kabul or whatever, and they tie them down to a chair and like they only speak a very specific dialect of Pashtun, and and then the CIA person, which I'm gonna assume for the sake of the scenario was Chris Pratt, like 30 Zero Dark 30. Chris Pratt sits them down and he's like, okay, man, you're gonna tell me where they taken the bombing supplies, whatever the fuck. What are they doing in Afghanistan? Tell me where the poppies are. Where's the poppy fields? And the guy's like, says something in Pashtun and he has no idea. And so Chris Pratt's like, okay, you made me do this. And he clicks the button and it's fucking me and James Vermont in speaking in regular like English or whatever, arguing about if The Last Jedi is a good movie or not. and that poor unfortunate soul having to sit through fucking 300 hours of that. Oof. That's why prisoners come up with things like hunger strikes. It's like, nope, I'll just starve myself to death. I'm not gonna sit here listening to any more of this bullshit. Yo, Sky, do you watch RWBY? Yes, I do watch RWBY. I have not watched RWBY lately. Okay, so it's been a very busy fall for me. I've gotten a lot of shit done, but I haven't caught up on RWBY. So I saw like the very opener of Volume 7, like Episode 1, where we have the glorious return of Penny Pumpernickel, or whatever the fuck her last name was, of Penny the Redheaded Robots. And I've not watched any episodes since then. Which is sad, because this is the season I feel like I'd be the most engaged in, because I was always a Weiss fan. I always liked the idea of Atlas as this frozen north, like, technopolis of, you know, being ruled over by a polity of super industrialists and whatnot. That seemed always very interesting to me. I like the way that they seem to figure in this world. I think one thing that turned me off was I thought that they kind of made her dad and brother a little bit too cartoonish of villains. It's kind of the same thing they did to Adam Taurus, where it's like, you know, this guy had like kind of some depth in the first 3 volumes, and then they just made him this like I want to create a new word of like, you know, there's the Simpsons term Flanderize, which is you take subtle characteristics about them and make them like really ridiculously over the top where people don't even like the character anymore. And I guess it counts as Flanderization of what they did to General Hux in the Star Wars. But it's like, yeah, just call it like Huxing a character. Like, you know, they start out as like, yeah, they're a villain and whatnot. But then in the second movie, they're like, then it's like the slapstick and the Yo Mama jokes and stuff. And it's like, oh no. So then in the third movie, they have to come up with some totally new character because they destroyed any like actual like villainy, like people not liking a guy because he's just so pathetic. And so they have to bring in this random guy like, okay, General Pride, you're the new bad guy that doesn't have the Force powers. And he's like, okay. And then they just shoot Hux in the chest. Yeah, I kind of feel like they did that with Adam Taurus, where it's like, okay, like we get it, but at the same time, like he had some character depth of why he was like a bad guy and why he had like become like kind of extreme with his like violence and stuff because of like very, very legitimate like case against the discrimination of his people. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should have made it so bad. Anyway, so I kind of got the same vibes from Weiss's dad and brother, where it's like Weiss's dad. Here's the test I kind of put it through. If you take away the physical violence, if you take away the times where he actually physically slaps her across the face, it really changes the tone, because it's like, yes, he is still megalomaniacal in his own ways, but it's not like comically evil. It's like he's still like, he still has reasons for what he's doing. It's like whether it's defending his company or his family's company or whatever, or like, you know, protecting what he sees as the interests of Atlas or whatnot. It's like, yeah, so he's a disengaged and disinterested father, but if it weren't for being so over the top and the physical violence and whatever, it's like there was still a window where he could be redeemable. It's just like with Kylo Ren. Like, okay, if you weren't so evil, maybe we could have redeemed you and then not killed you, but we went too far, and so we couldn't do that. So we had to kill you. Like, could you imagine if he didn't die at the end of Revenge of J.J. Abrams? Like it would be weird. Like, all the Reylo people would probably be happy. And I personally think that the biggest, everything else aside, one thing they could have done to really make Last Jedi interesting was for her to take his fucking hand. It's like, okay, you know, burn the past, you know, burn the old movies because fuck George Lucas and whatever. If she actually took his hand and they like were in this uneasy sort of like two colors of gray relationship where it's like, okay, we're actually going to try to make something new and really like blur the lines. That could have been an interesting concept if they hadn't already made the First Order as comically evil as the Empire was in the beginning. And even still, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there of like, you know, maybe the Empire wasn't so bad kind of stuff, which is, you know, I don't know. The point of all this is complexity. It's character complexity. It's like most people really aren't comically evil villains. Like most people who are villains usually have some cause of whatever they're doing and whatever. I don't know. All I'm saying is It's shit. It's shit storytelling. So that's why I've been putting off watching Volume 7, because I feel like it's gonna go in there and he'll like twirl his mustache, and then like Wheatley or whatever the fuck the kid's name was, like is like mini me, and he just follows him around and does exactly what the dad does and twirls a mustache, and then they like go and kick puppies and and I don't know, steal candy from babies. It's just so like reductive and horrible. It's one of the many reasons why Volume 4 was by far the worst of RWBY. Oh god, just an awful shit season. The Jackass. Fuck, that's a good name. You should copyright that, or start making your own Jackass. That's actually that's really good branding. The brother looks like he's getting some growth. Political evil. If Kylo lived and Rey died, that would have been amazing. That would have been amazing, because Kylo's a much better character than Rey. Look, I'm sorry, man, but from the very first set of scenes in the movie, he was already a better character from her. Like, it's like, he has this, like, weird obsession with his grandfather, which is ironic considering his parents, like, were good, but he's, like, grasping onto this evil, like, lineage of Vader. Like, that's interesting. And if they didn't make it, like, weird, like, he's, like, a weird obsessee, and make it more, like, dignified, I guess, where he's just like, no, you know, grandfather was right. You ruined him at the end, and he died because of it. It's like he had cause for what he, you know, whatever. Like, give it some weight to it, where it wasn't, you know, it wasn't stupid. Like, it could have been really neat. And a lot of the powers they gave him were within the realm of what had been done, but just, like, subtle. So, like, him catching that bolt. I always go back to that, because that was the fucking coolest opening for a character, I think, of all the Star Wars movies. Was just, you know, someone fires a blaster at him, and he turns around in, like, a perfect whip and catches the bolt in the air. So fucking cool. That sold the whole movie for me for weeks. It wasn't until I really processed it after the fact that I was like, maybe there's some flaws. Anyway, yeah, so I'll watch RWBY Volume 7 eventually. I mean, obviously I'm going to, because I did renew my Rooster Teeth, you know, account or whatever. It auto-renewed in November, and it was like $30 more than it used to be. So I was like, oh, fuck. So I gotta get some return on that money at some point, because holy Christ, that is expensive. Again, this is my one show problem, because that's like literally the only thing I even have the account for. So we're watching RWBY, and $60 season is a little steep. You know, when it was $20 a year, that was doable, not $60. So I definitely need to cancel that before it renews again in April. And then, you know, if it's a good volume, which I assume it will be, because the last one was good, I'll end up buying the Blu-ray and buying the soundtrack again, like I always do, because I support the creators. Even though they're not exactly, like, the little guy anymore. Like, I almost said that, but then I didn't, because it's like, you know, this isn't, like, the Rooster Teeth of 2010 or whatever. This is Warner Media presents a full-screen, you know, associated product, Rooster Teeth Productions. And it's just, I don't know. It's so many layers of, like, there's so much, like, corporate-y stuff going on. There's, like, I don't know. And now, after like a bunch of people supported the whatchamacallit, the new mech show, Gen X. It's not Gen X, is it? Whatever the fuck the new show is called, Mad TV. The new Gen X show. It's like, all right, thank you for helping, you know, paying $30 more a year to help kick fund our show. Now it's an HBO Max exclusive. Like, oh, fuck. That's pretty fucking cold, Warner Media. Maybe you should let them put it on their website, too, for all the people that, like, supported it on the front end. That would be nice. Like, that would be a good idea. That was the one legitimate thing I empathize with Steam users when the super epic game store was coming out, and just buying exclusivity on a bunch of games because it had all that sweet Fortnite money. I I felt bad for Steam users where it's like, or they helped kickstart a game, and then they were like, oh, by the way, we're gonna be an Epic's Game Store exclusive, and like all the people who helped support it like had no choice or couldn't get refunds or whatever. Like, that's a big deal. That's a really big problem, and I empathize with those people, even though in the general sense I like the idea that there is an Epic's store and that there are other game marketplaces that are really trying to dig their claws into the industry, because I feel like the monopoly of Steam has like really hampered the PC master race industry, because it halted development on the entire Half-Life series for like literally a decade. Like, unless you count the Portal games, which is kind of like as a side project, and it was only, you know, by the grace of that one poor guy who was like really sick that he was able to get the first Portal off the ground and then the second one to make more money with. But it's like now, finally, when someone took a bite out of their market share, they're like, oh fuck, we should maybe make that Half-Life game that people were always asking us about in very, very sad and painful ways for the last 10, 12 years. Oh god. And it's not even Half-Life 3. It's like some, you know, prequel like Rogue One. That's really what it is. Half-Life Rogue One. Oh fuck. Or rather Half-Life Solo, which is even more damning. Oh god. That's a meme you can make. Instead of Half-Life Alyx, call it Half-Life Solo, where it's explaining the backstory of an already known and beloved character, but it's like way after the fact, and it's by a different group of people, and there's a lot of questionable, like, about how the quality is going to be executed. I don't know. If I were a Half-Life fan, that would be my biggest fear. I guess I'm kind of lucky in that I didn't know about those games. I got the, I actually discovered Portal. I got the orange box just because I was looking for, like, I don't know, just stuff. I don't know. The orange box is on, like, super discount. It's like the whole orange box, but for like $15 at GameStop. And so I got it, and I was like, okay, it's just this 5 games for $15. That's a pretty good deal. You know, 5 games, quote unquote, with the episode 1 and 2. And the only, like, I went through them, and I fucking sucked. I was so bad at Half-Life 2 that I, like, kind of quit in, like, the 3rd level or something, where I was like, nope. And then I tried Portal, and I played all the way through Portal, and it was fun, and I was good enough at it, and whatever. And then Portal 2, and that was all magical and stuff. Pirate, Skybolt Pirate. Wait, what? Yeah, I know. Piracy is the future as much as it was the past. And that's especially true of these streaming services, because ain't nobody got time for that. Speaking of decade in review, ain't nobody got time for that. Fuck, that was even before the 2010s, wasn't it? Oh my god. Anyway, is the all of these different Netflix, like, holy cow, there's Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, HBO Max, CBS All Access, Peacock, NBC. I have to credit NBC. Peacock is a good name for a streaming service, because like 90% of people who are probably like faithful NBC viewers have no idea what the fuck that the colorful, you know, spinning wheel is on the screen of their logo. It's a fucking peacock. So now they know. Ain't nobody got $100 a month to drop on all of those streaming services, and like things like Crunchyroll or Audible in my case, or a whole number of different things. Like, all this is gonna do is pump another, like, a boom of internet piracy, which is just going to, you know, encourage a bunch more stodgy old lawmakers or very corrupt evil Gen X lawmakers to then come up with a new version of copyright law, like Article 13 or SOPA or PIPA, and make it like, you know, the ultimate enforceable will of the government to protect these billionaires from these filthy proles. How dare you? How dare you take our what's a good example? Unless you start. How dare you take our Captain Picard character and you dare to make your own internet web series about what Picard did in between the last movie and our new series. You filthy scum. Oh god, Nintendo's one of the worst too, which is really weird. I don't know why they from the very beginning they tortured Netflix. Anytime they even glimpsed a Mario thing on there, they were up Netflix or YouTube's ass to have them remove it. And so it came back to bite them. So it's all of these major game YouTubers who grew out of this symbiotic relationship with things like Minecraft or Apex Legends or whatever. That never happened for Nintendo games because they were all banned or nuked. Or I think they have some arrangement with Twitch now where there's more Nintendo gamers on Twitch or whatever. But YouTube, that was a big deal. It was like the unknown regions of the galaxy. You don't go into Nintendoverse because you'll get sucked into some fifth dimensional hyperspace singularity or whatever. I don't know, it kind of creates a weird tone. It's there's no community cohesion with the brand. It's just okay, here is new Mario game. Buy it now and play it. And then wait for the next Mario game. And then just wait to consume next products, I don't know. That really turned me off of Nintendo. I was the Nintendo kid growing up too. In my block in the 90s. I was a Nintendo kid, and my neighbor across the street was the very unfortunate Dreamcast kid who had the Saturn and other Sega products. Was it Sega Genesis and stuff? And then our other friend, across town, he was the PlayStation kid. And then, and so, where was I going with that? And so it was that was a great, so I had a lot of Nintendo stuff growing up, but then I got into Xbox and PlayStation instead, and then down the road, once gaming became more integrated with the overall internet, it was it's a weird tone. I don't know, unless you're you're fine boxed into the series within these very carefully curated gardens, that's cool and all, but it's I think of a lot of game culture that I got involved in my high school and college years, and it's it wasn't officially sanctioned with a capital, like Halo. It's not everything was Bungie with a capital B per se. They let Rooster Teeth go off and do their thing, and people loved it, and it created a circular effect of a lot more people loving and getting involved in other Halo stuff. And all Bungie had to do was not be assholes about it. And I feel like Nintendo, which is a 400-year-old company, they could probably not be such assholes about people streaming Mario online also, probably. But no, don't eat the rich. That's bad for you. you just you put them in a furnace and stay nice and cozy. Nice and cozy in your proletariat dwelling. Have you seen the new season of BoJack? No, I'm sorry. You're thinking of James Vermont. I never watched BoJack Horseman. Banana 2020 Star Wars and copyright. Yeah. Oh fuck! I still have all this on screen, don't I? Pop. Well. Yeah. So the lesson in all of this is buy gold. The moral of the story was buy gold coins and put them in your mattress. What's so funny? Speaking of fiat currency, when Bitcoin first came out in 2009 or 2010, I remember I was just I don't know, screwing around. I was on Facebook or whatever. This is before entering the horse side of the internet, before it was even fold. I saw a comment on a message board or something. It was you guys got to get with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the future, man. When society collapses and nuclear bombs drop everywhere, Bitcoin is going to be the only currency you can use. And me, having never even heard of Bitcoin or Satoshi or any of that shit before, my first reaction was, You do realize that if nukes drop everywhere, they're going to carry EMPs with them, which would render electronic devices unusable and possibly blanked from the magnetic waves. So you're not going to have bitcoins or a blockchain or anything because they're going to be fucking deleted. And ever since then, and learning more about the cryptonomic currencies since then, I still always default back to no. Consumables, gold, silver, consumables, and, what's the other word I was thinking of? Fucking, it's like the fancy, like, money speak word for it. It's not consumables, but it starts with a C. Commodities, that's it. Commodities are the future because commodities were the past. At the end of the day, you can have all the meme money, all the Doge coins you want on your little fucking flash drive, but when you're walking in boots that you pulled off of a dead body across town and you really need to buy that partially gangrenous chicken or else you're going to starve to death, you're not going to be giving them any of your magic meme money. You're going to be trading some kind of commodity, either a jar of purified water or ammunition or fucking something like that. So that's why I always thought of games like Stalker or whatever as much more accurate, which is like, no, money is going to be ammunition and water and imperishables like food and stuff, or like, whatever. So anyway, that kind of said that was an interesting, like, not really lesson I learned, but kind of like perspective I took on the concept of meme currency. So I don't know. And also the market is crazy chaotic. Like, I don't even do like day trading or whatever. My investments are diversified in like the flattest fucking like general markets that I could pick. So I don't need any, like, really fancy, like, short-term day trade. What the fuck? You hear that? I don't know if that got picked up on microphone, but there are two very loud pops. It's not gunshots. I don't live in that kind of town, I swear. It sounded like fireworks. Probably some early New Year's fireworks people are testing. They're testing their M80s before Happy Day tomorrow. Okay, so assuming my house doesn't burn down from a brush fire, it should be fine. Yeah, I should be fine. I'm not Australian. California already burned earlier in the year. Now Australia is burning. Serious F's in the chat though. I hope everyone is okay down under. I know what it's like to be in very spicy sun regions of the world. Have we hit 3 hours? Oh god, we're almost there. Oh my gosh, this turned around much more so than I expected. Yeah, duck and cover. How much to make you watch BoJack? I'm sorry, I don't think I'd have the time. There's so many other things I need to catch up on at some point, eventually. I don't know when I'd get to it. I'm sorry. Fuck, what else can we talk about? Now I feel compelled to make it to 3 hours, now that we're almost there. What else is coming up? Oh, Cyberpunk's coming up. That's something I could talk about. Let's see. Let's check out the Derpy Buru results for Cyberpunk as well. So aside from the meme, aside from the magic cubic truck, that's the other thing too. A lot of people are shitting on the Cybertruck. I think it looks fucking awesome. I'm so excited for the Cybertruck. If I had $100,000, I would totally get one. Cyberpunk. Anyway, with the Cyberpunk game though, they're starting to slowly trickle out music and stuff for it. And I wasn't a big fan of the Samurai, like the band songs, or I forget what the full name is. But Grimes, speaking of Elon Musk, Elon Musk's girlfriend Grimes, she put out or had a dedicated song for it on their channel called 4 a.m. And it's like A as in like Aeon Flux, the AE, whatever. Speaking of English. Anyway, it was really good. I didn't know what kind of music Grimes had done before that, and so I was like looking back through her discography, and I realized I already had one of her songs from the Suicide Squad soundtrack, and I didn't even know it, and it was really good. It was the Medieval Warfare. So yeah, it's pretty good. Long story short, go check out the music on the Cyberpunk the Vidya game page, and then fuck, where's I going with that? Oh yeah, so I'm excited for the game. I'm hoping the game will be really fun. I'm very slowly, like, I just got the Necromancer audiobook as well. I really need to finish that at some point. Haven't quite gotten around to it, but anyway, that is on the list. I will get that eventually, or listen through that eventually. It seems fun. I love me cyberpunk shit. Obviously, I grew up on that from Robocops and Matrices and Ghost Seas and Shells and Akira's. So I'm really, really hoping it's fun, and I'm really, really hoping that I'm not shit at it. Because I've been playing Jedi Fallen Order last couple of days, kind of on and off. It's not super grabbing me. It's no Fallout, but it is reminding me that I haven't really played video games in a long time, so I'm really bad at it. And it's really embarrassing, and I feel bad about myself. I'm just trying to play through and enjoy the story and get whatever I can out of it. And then these fucking bullfrogs, these fucking space frogs jump out of nowhere and eat me up. And I'm mashing buttons, and I think I know what I'm doing, but I don't. And so then they eat me, and I'm dead. And I'm like, damn it. So, anyway, so I'm on, like, Section 3 of Fallen Order, and I want to be able to be better and play more, but yeah, so I'm really hoping Cyberpunk has like the baby mode for me to play, so I could just enjoy the story and get to and get to breathtaking John Wick scenes and stuff, and not have to worry about being bad at video games. Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, what else along? 50K for it. Yeah, but I would get the, see, if I got the Cybertruck, if I had whatever, all the money, I would get the version with that 500-mile range, because that sounds fucking awesome. Because that initially was the big problem, at least for someone like me, of electric vehicles, was the range. The range was way too limiting. Fucking putting 500 miles of range in there, that sounds amazing. That sounds like, really, really nice to try. I assume it still takes, a while to trickle charge, although all them batteries or motors or whatever is actually moving forward, but yeah, I don't know. It looks neat. I like the design concept, because I'm kind of sick of all cars looking vaguely the same. Like, all cars kind of look like they got squished out of the same, like, I don't know, the same set. It's very uninspiring. It's very, very dull. Like, I want more chances like the Cybertrucks, like the DeLoreans, like other weird body styles. It's like, just having a neat body style doesn't mean it has to be like a super expensive car, like a Lotus or a Lamborghini or something. You can just make some kind of different looking body that's easily mass producible, and then put it on like a fucking Camry or on a Ford Focus, and just kind of be neat to look at. I don't know why that's so hard for people to understand. Yeah, so. Oh, we're almost there. We're almost there, you guys. Chuckles in bottle caps. Skywell, have you seen the new Harley Quinn show? No, I haven't. I think that's another network, right? Like DC Connect or whatever? Or is that on like the Warner network or something? Like, man, I don't even know where all this stuff is anymore. They're trying to remake Cable, and I blame YouTube for that as well. They were trying to do this shit back in the day, and they're trying to do it even harder now. Fuck Cable. Fuck the networks. Yeah, so I don't know. I like the exclusives. I mean, at least it's forcing companies to put more energy into making good shows and good exclusives to actually taunt people in. Like, you can't just put, like, like shitty popcorn stuff out all the time because you have a monopoly on like a format or on a medium, like for instance the movie studio, movie theater, like duopoly, where it's like, oh yeah, that's just the same four companies shits out the same kind of movies, and they're just the only ones that ever go in theaters. It's like every once in a while you'll get a very limited release, like they'll have their Miyazaki month or whatever, and you can go watch Castle in the Sky on the big screen or something cool like that. Or like them Fandango events. I don't know how many other people would know about those, but you know, something unique that you could do with a 100-foot screen, you know, in your local neighborhood. But no, instead, well, I almost made the joke of, you know, you could just go see the new Adam Sandler movie. But now Adam Sandler has a good movie, at least as far as I understand. I haven't seen Uncut Gems yet, but it looks really neat based on the trailers. I'm still not totally sure of what the story is. Like, from that one trailer I saw, my guess is the guy is doing illegal sports betting, and at the same time he's collecting from other people, like he's running the racket of sports betting, and then he's going and he's talking to the actual players and trying to get one of them to throw the game, and it's like, you know, so they you know, scratch each other's backs. Whatever it is, the Celtics lose, and then everyone gets, like, you know, gangbusters and money. Not sure if that's the plot, but that's the way it looked to me from the assemblage of clips. So, I speak of the Russian Lada in terms of cars. Is there a Lada car to it? Ha ha ha. Is it like a Soviet holdover? Because some of the Soviet cars looked really weird. Russian Lada. Oh my god. Yeah, that's as Soviet as it gets. It's interesting. Some of the newer ones actually don't look that bad. The 2017 Lada Niva is actually kind of neat in its own unique way. It's a very specific aesthetic. All I mean is variety. Like, I saw someone post a picture. I think it's like an obscure Facebook group I ended up in called All Crossovers Are Bad or something, like about crossover cars. And it's like they all have like the same kind of weird shape of being like the inbred love child of old station wagons and SUVs and like mom vans, like the Honda Odyssey. And it's just like they're all like almost the same. Like, you know, if you compared their DNA, they would be like close ancestors. Like the difference between, you know, Homo erectus and Homo Australopithecus, whatever. It's been a while since I've been in anthropology. Anyway, the point is just more crazy shit. Just more crazy body types, more crazy, like, you know, looks, aesthetics. That'd be great. The DC Netflix made a live-action Teen Titans. Oh, is that the thing that's just called Titans? I remember hearing about that, and I remember the one like trailer where the Robin guy is like, "Fuck Batman," and then and then all the comments were like, "Yeah, that's what everyone's afraid of," and they're like, "Yeah, because you were his like young ward or whatever." And that was the last I thought about that series. It's just the "fuck Batman" line and all of the implications in the comments thread. Oh no! Someone brought up Fallout 76. Oh, and we were having such a good time. No, I am still waiting. Really waiting for Fallout 76 to have NPC mode or whatever. Like, I really hope that they roll that out and there's some like interesting story bits in there, and I might actually play it for a substantive number of time with my little baby like level 5 player or whatever. Like, I wanted so bad to enjoy it because a few things. One, I feel like whatever they did with the lighting and graphics engine actually pulled off really well. Like, during one of those 2 4-hour playthroughs I did in it, I was walking at night through some back Appalachian swamp or river bed, And it was like really nice, actually. It was a really good ambience, and they had some spooky sound because there was, some urban monster legend they were referencing. And it was like really atmospheric, and I liked it. I was really enjoying it. And the music was good. It was some of Nzura's better work. Like, I kind of got sick of some of the stuff in Fallout 4 like really quickly. Like, there's a handful of Fallout 4 OST I really like Institute music and the main theme and things like that. But a good portion of like the general like outside Boston stuff, no. I don't know. There's something about it. It didn't work for me, or didn't care for. 76 was the opposite, where I really liked the 76 main theme, but like the general ambience music was actually really neat, and I liked the feel of it. That kind of like, very rural West Virginia sound. I don't know. It spoke to me. Damien is his little shadow boy. Oh, that hack. Yes, I did hear about that, where there was a story that some ne'er-do-wells were bringing Fallout 4 assets into Fallout 76 by using some kind of hack or whatever. They probably just threw a wrench at it. Which was really funny, considering that's what the whole fucking game was Bethesda Austin bringing Fallout 4 assets into their unfortunately constructed multiplayer environment. Oh, that's funny. If you could spawn any Fallout 4 asset, then how about some Curies? Now that would make the game interesting. Give me 1,000 new Curie lines, and I'll fucking buy the DLC and the super duper expansion pack and the power armor edition with the power armor that gives me mold face and has no canvas bag. Just give me some more Curie. I'd be all over that. Yeah, obviously if they had just made a single player game in that kind of area, like general setting, I think that could have been really neat, especially if they like really dug in with story, which was the thing that was most lacking, unfortunately. Was deeper story with more NPCs and other things going on. Like put it during the middle of the Scorch outbreak or whatever. I don't know. And a few larger locations too. It was a bit of an empty map. Like, I don't know. Fallout 4 New Vegas had some of their like empty map problems, but 76 was something else entirely. Like, they really just stretched it out, I presumably to give players more space to like, be on their own or take in the atmosphere, but it was just almost too big. I don't know. Fantastic. We have crossed the 3-hour mark beyond everyone's wildest expectations, especially mine. Does anyone have any last minute any last minute questions or points or story topics that you would like to talk about? We can do that real quick, and then I am going to go. So, I still need a Fallout 3 remaster. Oh, fuck yeah. A Fallout 3 and a New Vegas remaster would be incredible. Like, especially, and this is really asking for it now, especially if they can apply, like, New Vegas style, like, weapons and ammo and all that kind of stuff to Fallout 3. And then they keep the weapons and ammo and stuff from those two and iron sights, but they put in like a reduced version of settlement building in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Like, I don't know, a reduced form where it's not like, all the screwy weapon looks and stuff of Fallout 4 and not all of the same kind of modding, but like New Vegas style limited like modding and customization, but you can just have your own bases. I don't know. That would be so cool. It'd be so great with just the improved graphics and and you know everything else, and modding, console modding for basic bitches like me that could never figure out how fucking Nexus Mods works, that to put it on the Xbone, because that greatly extended the life of Fallout 4 for me. Once the console mods came out, I was all over that shit for a good year. That was my 2017 and early 2018. 4 hours, let's go. Yeet. No, not a solo mission. This ain't no Winter Solstice Stream 2018. Are you crazy? Crimes Against Mojave mod I found works with New California, so right now my character is Little Pip. Oh, there you go. That sounds great. I like that name too, Crimes Against the Mojave. I just... Oof, a Crimes Against Humanity Fallout edition would be incredible. Does that exist? I feel like that's gotta exist. Crimes Against Humanity Fallout. It's a bunch of mods for Fallout. No, I mean, I would love to play the Cards Against Humanity card game, but with a bunch of Fallout references and stuff. That sounds like it would be really, really fun. Anyway, RIP PS4 console mods. Yeah, I don't know, man. Sony was weird. Sony's a weird company in all of its aspects, to be honest. I don't know what they're doing with some of the stuff they do. Anyway, yeah, so that is going to be it for me. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. I always like how with the BananaCast, it feels like more people show up over time. It's like little by little they stumble on like, oh shit, there's something going on. It's like, nope, it's just me. It's really not that interesting. XYZ it. Anyway, hopefully everyone had a good time. Thank you for joining me for another fantastic BananaCast, and we will see you. Here's me trying to get to the music page. Fuck, come on, man. Where is it? Okay, that just completely ruined the flow of my whole outro. So, we will see you later.